Happy President's Day, everybody. Welcome to a brand new live episode of the Outlaw Nation Show. Jesus Christ. I am the Outlaw John Rocha. Here, as you can tell, I'm recovering from a crazy holiday. Sometimes when I'm on holiday mode, all my body parts, all my mind, everything goes all over the place. I'm not quite as controlled as I usually am, but I'm here, ready and excited for this show tonight. Excited, especially to welcome my guest to the show, who I will introduce in just a little bit. But I just want to check in with you all. Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a good day off. If you took a day off for this holiday, if you didn't take a day off, I hope your Monday is going okay. Hope you're recovering from the weekend. You know, we're on the precipice of World War III, apparently. So let's have some fun tonight and blow it out and have a good time hanging out with two pretty fun people talking about the world of comics, superhero movies, Kickstarter, and what have you tonight. So get ready for that. And just a reminder, the Streamlabs and SuperChats are open, ladies and gentlemen. Send in your support, send in your love, send in your questions, thoughts, and comments. The Streamlabs address is right there on the screen. I also pinned it in the chats in the description of this video. So send us some love tonight as we're going along. And if you want to suggest something's going to make you donate more, you want to hear a story, a behind-the-scenes thing, you want Jason and I to do a shot, I don't know. Everything's in play, I guess. It's a holiday. Maybe we can do that, maybe we can't, but you can suggest. And there's nothing wrong with that. What a crazy last few days that's been going on in the world. I hope you're taking care of yourself. I had a couple of friends of mine dealing with some anxiety, dealing with some losses over the weekend. So I hope none of that happened to you. And if it did, I hope you're taking the time that you need for yourself and kind of focusing in and making sure you're good to go. I went and saw Spider-Man No Way Home this afternoon with my lady. You know, we do our Outlaws MCU rewatch show, which made its grand debut, or back again in 2022 for the first time this past week, in Talking Eternals on stereo. I took her to Spider-Man No Way Home. I hadn't seen it in a few weeks. Damn if I wasn't a blubbering mess watching that movie. So good. And speaking of good stuff, we're going to be talking about Peacemaker. Maybe we'll convince our guest to talk about Doctor Strange and get into that multiverse of madness. All of it is in play here. So just want to remind you all that this is all happening tonight, and to send in your Streamlabs and your Super Chats. Hope you had a chance to watch Strong Style. Hope you had a chance to watch a little bit of the Ultimate Schmodown after show over the weekend as well. Really proud of that crew. What an incredible episode they had on Saturday. It's almost at 4,000 views, that tells me that a lot of people wanted to have this conversation. And I think everybody involved with that show handled it with grace and dignity and respect. Thanks to everybody who watched. Thanks to everybody who left comments. Thanks to everybody who submitted a statement for the nice people there on the show to read. Really proud of John Barr of Soul, of Mike Shea, Sean Barito, and everybody involved there, Boggs, and for making it all happen, because they were just absolutely great and really give a lot of respect to what's been going on in the Schmodown community. So a lot of love to them. If you haven't watched it, please watch it. If you haven't watched my Elvis trailer reaction, well, get on board. Apparently, some random trailer reaction that I did just at the end of the night, end of the business day, has gotten 25,000 views so far, picked up 200 new subscribers. You just never know, ladies and gentlemen, what trailer reaction is going to catch the zeitgeist at what time, and people are going to watch. So pretty incredible stuff. Very, very blown away by the reaction to who knew Elvis Presley still had cachet in 2022. Apparently, Baz Luhrmann did, and Tom Hanks did. So, and now I do on the Outlaw Nation. So great, great stuff. All right. Love all of you madly. Without further ado, let's get into this thing. Remember, hit a like on this video as you're watching. And if you're watching later, hit a like and leave a comment. Let's introduce my guest here. He is the writer of so many things that are happening in the world right now. There's only some of them he can talk about. He's the host of Geek History Lesson podcast that he does with his lovely other half, Ashley Robinson. And he is a writer and producer of this comic book called Super Best Friend. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about so many things in here. He's my brother in life. We have talked about so many things. My brother in the military, my brother in Star Trek, my brother in comic books and superhero movies. And I can't wait to catch up with him because it's been a bit. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show the great Jason Inman. How are you, Jason?
I'm good. Hello. What do you say on an outlaw show? Yeehaw?
No.
Woohoo!
There you go.
Giddy up. Yeah, I don't know. How are you doing, man?
Good, man.
Who knew the world wanted more Elvis? Not me.
Dude, I'm shocked out of my mind. Absolutely. I thought we had moved on with Elvis, but no, apparently
Nope.
still capturing the pop culture zeitgeist. Dude, are you giving me flashbacks with that rack behind you? Am I 10 years old with that comic book rack?
Oh
That is
yeah, man.
amazing.
Yeah. The comic book rack. It's full of Super Best Friend too. Like right there. That's all the issues of. And then right over there is Jupiter Jet. No, that was a fun fact. That was a Kickstarter
Oh,
about
really?
like 3 or 4 years ago, and
Wow.
it was. I think it was like $400 for that comic rack, but I was like, I am paying that because
Wow.
I've seen these in pawn shops before.
Yeah.
And they're like thousands of dollars.
Mhm.
So of course I loaded it up with some favorites and then my own comic books.
Of
man.
course.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
gotta promote.
No,
You gotta
I love it.
promote.
I always put it in the background because it always, everybody, the minute they see it, they comment on it.
Yeah, because some of us of a certain time, we remember being kids and seeing that stuff. Be like, oh, what's new?
Yeah.
Hearing the cricketing as you're trying to find out what the new stuff is for sure. And now, how crazy is it that you're writing your own comic books now? I know Jupiter Jet was the one that kind of started it. Now we're into Super Best Friend, and you're on issue number 2. Is that correct?
Yes.
You've got a Kickstarter going on for this as well.
Yeah, the Kickstarter is live. It's for issue 1 and 2 at the same time. We funded issue 1 last year.
Yeah.
Issue 2 funded in 9.5 hours, which is
Wow.
fantastic.
That's a bump.
And it is like my love letter to superhero comic books, and very much like what we're doing right now, because it stars Mattie Moore, who is a sidekick. He's a live streamer. He's a YouTuber. He loves superheroes and he records videos of superheroes. And during one of his live streams, he accidentally broadcasts the secret identity of the world's greatest superhero to the entire internet. And this comic book is about how does he fix that problem, but also the relationship of his best friend. It's very much, I say, it's the journey of a sidekick to a hero, but also it's the journey of a superhero fan learning that they have more worth to give to the world than just their fandom.
Wow.
So,
well, what brought this on for you? Like, what is it that inspired you to tell it from this point of view and jump into it from this angle and this side of things? Had you seen it before? Did you watch a Jimmy Olsen and go, I wonder what it'd be like from his point of view?
This is very much Jimmy Olsen. Like it is a modern take on Jimmy Olsen. It's a modern take on Superman, but they have they're not copies. They're very real characters.
Right.
And a lot of this was inspired by my time at DC All Access because you know this, man, when we were doing Collider shows, sometimes it feels like all you do is talk about superheroes all day long.
Yes.
And
oh my God, yes.
I really thought about the idea of, if superheroes were in the real world, that people would have fandoms for specific vigilantes and superheroes, just the way we do about movies. But then it's this idea of, I felt the same way too, where I thought that for a while there, all I did was talk about superheroes all day long on the internet.
Right.
And I was like, well, nobody cares about me. They only care about my blah, blah, blah about the superheroes. And that's the lesson that I'm trying to impart in this story with Mattie Moore. Fun fact, there is a scene that is coming. I'll give you a little slight spoiler for Super Best Friend 3, because it is going to come either later this year or next year.
Okay.
There's a moment where Mattie Moore is going to get into a confrontation, a conflict, if you will, with the Justice League of this world, which I've nicknamed the Assembly. And he's going to be scared, have no idea. He doesn't have any superpowers. They all do.
Right.
But the thing about it is, man, think about it, if he's a live streamer and he's broadcast videos of all these people, he knows all their weaknesses. He's seen the game tape, if you will, for all of them.
It's a little Batman, right? Batman always tried to have the weaknesses of everybody down. Yep. He tried to get that squared away for himself so he'd never be caught on the outside looking in. Are you trying to say that this is a little bit of that? Why would he? But if he videotaped, isn't he like a friend to these people?
He is a friend to these people. I can't. I don't want to reveal too much but there is issue 2 is it's like superbestfriendcomic.com, everybody. That's how you do the plug, I guess.
I like it.
But that's what's live right now. The great thing about it too, I always like to say about Kickstarters, because people are always like, well, I don't know. Well, I don't know about this. What am I doing here? Do I really want to give you money because you're not being published by Marvel and DC? And I'm like, hey, Kickstarter comics are very important because they are they're labors of love because it's so hard to make anything in this world, as you know.
Oh, no, it's true.
And the great thing about being a Kickstarter and it's already being funded is that it's basically just a pre-order. This book is going to happen. There's no wonder if you're ever going to get this book.
Right.
Yeah,
because but let's take a look at some of the artwork here for it. Look,
please
Jason, talk to me about this. Is incredible art. You got Dan Jurgens,
yes,
to do one of your covers here. George Combate, Sarah Louver. These are great covers with completely different styles, different looks, different approaches. But of course, you put the Dan Jurgens one in the middle. That's classic old school comics there. So interesting. Tell me how you got Dan, how he got on board with this. Noted comic book artist Dan Jurgens. How did this happen?
Well, Dan has been a friend of mine for the last couple years because of comic book conventions and various things like that. And with Super Best Friend, I'm always trying to like imbibe the energy of Mattie Moore, the zaniness, the funness, the superness, if you will. With the first campaign, it was the idea that I was going to do a foil cover.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I actually, hold on a second. Hold on. Let me see if I can reach it. It's this one right here.
Wow.
So if everybody remembers in the 90s, we had foil covers. So great. This was the like fun 90s-ish thing, thing of my youth. I was like, it'd be so cool if I had a foil cover for a comic book of my own. So this is what we did. And then the bucket list item has always been get Dan Jurgens to draw a cover with my characters.
Right.
So, I shot my shot last year. And? I was like, I sent him an email. I said, hey, you can tell me no, you can do anything like this. And lo and behold, he's a nice enough gentleman that he said yes. I bought the original art. I shared it on my Instagram today. I bought the original art from him too. So I have the penciled Dan Jurgens art from him. And it's a genius. I was lucky he said yes. Again, it's a bucket list item. I've always said that if I do nothing else in comic books,
right.
I got Dan Jurgens to draw some of my characters, so mission accomplished, man.
You mentioned your Instagram. Let's take a look. Let's see what this looks like.
Yeah, because Dan did the pencils. Screen here.
Look at it. So this is what you're talking. Yep. This is the original.
Yes.
Wow.
That is the original penciled page that Dan did of the cover. It's inked by John Livesay and it's colored by Elizabeth Kramer. Nice. And I haven't framed it yet, but there it is right there. Those are actual Dan, and then he sent me all the rough sketches that he did of the cover because he was like, he was like, in a very this is the kind of pro that Dan Jurgens is. He sent me like all these other sketches, and he's like, I don't know if you'd want these doodles or sketches, and I was like, are you kidding me? Of course I want them.
Wow, this is great. Look at and did you give him any kind of guideline of what you wanted? I mean, because the stars wrapping around, having Mattie Moore.
The stars are all him. Okay. The only thing I said to him, because he did ask me, he was like, do you have any ideas? And the only thing I said was, I was like, there's this old classic Silver Age cover where Lois Lane is sort of like writing on the back of Superman.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't know if that could work, but I was like, I think it'd be really funny if Mattie was like writing on the back of his best friend because it's pretty goofy.
Right.
And that's what he did.
Wow.
and I wasn't certain it was going to work, but because he's such a master, he made it work. And the stars are all him and everything like that. It's funny because a couple months ago, before I told anybody that this was happening, I shared like a rough sketch and I was like, can you guess? I only shared the eyes.
Right.
And I was like, can you guess which artist is doing a variant cover? And to me, because I'm a big Dan Jurgens fan, I thought it was obvious from the get-go. Nobody guessed it. Nobody guessed it. I couldn't believe it. I thought I was like giving it away. But yes, Dan Jurgens, there's a Dan Jurgens variant cover, man. Wow. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It's fantastic.
That's another one off your bucket list now. You're gonna have to find a new person whose stuff you want to see or new artist.
That's the thing. I now I have to find like the problem is that because issue 3 is going to complete the trilogy, and I'm like, who do I find that beats Dan Jurgens?
That's a good point. That is tough. That is tough. Maybe Alex Ross. Maybe. I'm just throwing it out there. All
right.
Let's take a look at some of this stuff. I love this artwork. You've got what is this? A lady samurai machine. Marine, that's awesome. Dusk and the Wanderer. Now this is the assembly. All four of them?
That's the assembly, yes. And
No.
Captain Terrific, the main superhero that is on the main covers, he's the 5th member of that crew.
Now is that's him right there, Captain
Yes.
Terrific?
Yeah, that is
Ultimately-
Captain Terrific in the blue and the white.
Okay.
And then
Gotcha.
so with some of the electric-ness in the other thing. But yes,
yeah. So let's jump to sorry, just go back to this. Yes.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So Captain Terrific is like, he is the Superman archetype of this world. He is Mattie Moore's best friend. He's the one whose secret identity gets outed.
Right.
And you know, again, there's a lot of this, I will tell you, when I was building in to this world, when you read this comic, you will feel like there is years and years of history.
Wow.
Because the characters will talk about other adventures and they will mention other things. Because I wanted you to feel just like a DC comic book, just like a Marvel comic book, where, you know, there's those editor notes. There aren't any editor notes in this, but there are like all these other adventures and villains and things. I wanted to feel like a very real world.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Let's look at some more here. Look at this. I love this.
Yeah.
Now, what's going on here? He's saying upload this. Matthew, is he talking to Mattie? Or
yes. So this is the cliffhanger of the end of issue 1.
Wow.
That's our villain, Citizen Tyranny. And if you've caught the alliteration of that, Citizen Tyranny is the nemesis of Captain Terrific. That's on purpose there. This is where through a series of hijinks, one of Mattie Moore's ideas to fix the secret identity crisis is to pretend to work for the villain. Of course, that doesn't last very long, and the villain figures it out, and so there he leads to him blasting him. And as we start issue 2, we don't know basically like how injured is Mattie? Is he going to survive? Like what happens to him? And that is basically like the big impetus of issue 2 is that, you know, when you start off stories, I always feel like, you know, part 1 or act 1 is always like you're setting the table. Act 2, part 2 is like you're going Empire Strikes Back. You're going to see, you're going to find out that Lando owned the Millennium Falcon. You're going to find out all this other stuff you don't know about. Yeah. And then to me, part 3 is all about the swing. Yeah. Like you connect to the ball, you make people feel something, and then you like give them a nice sunset.
Right. You bring them home. You bring them home.
So that's why this is
bring them home. Yeah,
exactly. So that's why this one is like, we don't know whether he's going to survive. There are electric doppelgangers. There are cybernetic clones. There are the United States Army. Here's a military connection go here. Part of the plot line of issue 2 is that because the military has learned that they're like, oh, hey, Captain Terrific is an American.
Right.
We're drafting him to the United States military.
Wow.
And so now they're on the run from the Army as well.
So they push a special law forward to make Captain Terrific a U.S. Army.
They basically like enact a version of the draft.
Yeah,
to draft him because they're like, hey, we know because his real name is Calvin Cobb,
right?
Excuse me, Calvin Coleman. Okay. And they're like, hey, you're a U.S. citizen. That means you signed up for the draft. That means we drafted you. And if you don't show up, you're going to jail.
Yeah, like that works with it.
But they're just part of the complications.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a shot here. This is is this the issue number 2 that you're pushing?
Yeah, this is the main cover of issue 2 of 3. This is by the regular series artist George Kemadize. This is actually homaging an issue of Superman where he's like surrounded by these alternate Batmans. And as you can see, Mattie right here is surrounded by alternate versions of Captain Terrific, the main hero. So I'm not going to tell you too much about what happens there, but like if you're a Superman fan, you can recognize the winks to Cyborg Superman, to Superman Red, to Clark Kent, to all these people.
Wow. I love the look. I mean, how much consultation do you have on the look of something like this? How much is your input put in, or do you just give a broad general idea of what you want the cover to say and then let him or whoever design the cover in their own unique method and then hone it down from there?
Well, generally you make an idea, like you generally will pitch them like, you're like, I think this should kind of be an idea like this.
Yeah.
But one of the things about comic books that's so amazing is that it is a collaboration.
Yeah.
And you are leaning on your artist quite a bit. So it's just like the Dan Jurgens cover. Like I was like, I think maybe this idea will work. And because they're such great artists, they knock it out of the park.
Right.
So, and that's some of the beauty of it, right? And also it's some of the beauty of like being the writer of this side is because you're just like, okay, I'm going to write a scene with an army of people and I don't have to make that work. He does. But, but that's also why you make sure you work with very talented people. And, that's just like George's style. That's very much his style. Like besides, specific looks for like flashbacks or other things like that. Like I generally, like I hired George because I like that style. He has that great look. I'm a big fan of his work, and and I expect him. It's just like, hey, his artwork is what I'm looking for, so he's got it.
Wow. And it's through the book. Is it through the book? Because I know sometimes Alex Ross will do a cover, but he won't do the book itself. Or Frank Miller will do the cover, he won't do the book itself. Is this totally George's work throughout?
It's all George's work.
That's
issue
great.
1 and issue 2 are all George. So like the cover, the main cover you showed there is the look of the book the entire way through.
Right. This cover right here.
Yep.
Oh, I love it. What a great, interesting. I love the hair. The kind of jagged edges of the hair that's so perfect for Tom. So Tommy, but so tell me about this, or Mattie. So tell me about this. Where this is what issue number 1 was last year. Now we got issue number 2 funded. Is it a matter of just kind of you've got so much that you're working on that this has now become a labor of love or is this driven by something else now at this point, coming back to doing issue number 2 like a year later? Or is it a money situation? Like, why is there such a time gap between issue 1 and issue 2?
Well, the big reason why there's a time gap is because it's only me.
Fair.
I don't have a company of 100 people.
Right.
I don't have a printer.
Yes.
I don't have a factory. I don't have a marketing thing. So I have to. Okay, the reason why I go Kickstarter. Yeah. It's all to produce the book. It's to create the book. And I paid for issue 1. Out of my own pocket, the whole thing. And just like with issue 2, I went to the Kickstarter, and issue 1's Kickstarter paid for the production of issue 2. Like issue 2 is George has to draw like 8 more pages and he's done.
Wow. That's great.
This one, I was like, okay, I'm going to put it out there again.
Yeah.
Let's see if you guys go for issue 3. They did. Boom. All right, cool. So that means issue 3 is going to happen now.
Wow. Is it going to be a year later, or is it going to be a little bit quicker?
I'm not certain because I cannot predict the global paper shortage problem. So, it was kind of like last year I had to deal with shipping delays because that was when the first USPS like shipping delays started happening. Right. So I had to like wait for the books to come to me, and so I don't know. When it's going to be, and I'm going to leave it very loose in the air because again, like I could send this book to the printer and who knows what variant of COVID could show up then, and then Bob's your uncle, and I've added some extra time in towards the fulfillment. Yeah. So I'm hoping I would love to do a second issue this year, but like George also is like drawing a couple of their books at the same time, so it's like I always have to like fit into his schedule and everything like that. So
wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And does the story change when you you got it funded last year? You may have had a story last year, but so much is happening to you in your life and in the world. Do you find the story changes? Do you find you have to change some of the, the main overall plot of the issue? Do you find that you have to kind of adjust or add stuff that has become something the pop culture zeitgeist is now embracing? How do you approach the story when there's such a gap between the first issue and the second issue?
So there's always been an outline since the beginning.
Okay.
All the way to the end.
Overall outline.
All the way to the end. Yeah, gotcha. I've always known what the ending to issue 3 is from the very beginning. I've always known what that final scene is.
Right.
And I always have known where loosely we get there. What changes is the specific details. Like where is this scene set, or how many characters are in this scene, or maybe it should not be this character, maybe it should be this character. Like those are the things that change. And I think that, just like writing for television, I think that's the beauty of writing for television, because, the greatest quote I've ever heard, and I love it, and I always keep this in my mind, is Vince Gilligan always talks about Breaking Bad, that the original intention of Breaking Bad was that Jesse died at the end of the first season.
Right, that's right.
That was that was his intention when he wrote that pilot. He was like, this character's going to die, and thank God he changed his mind. Right? Like it was funny, and he tells the story that he wrote the scene where Jesse died, and he was like, this doesn't work. this based on the show I have, this doesn't work. So
Right.
so that's why I always say, like, I leave the details open,
Yeah.
but I know where Maddie's going. I know exactly where Maddie's going. I know exactly where Captain Terrific is going.
Yeah.
It's the how exactly do they get there might change, but the destination will always be the same.
Well, you know, your partner in life, Ashley Robinson's very well versed in comic books. Do you find that you're like randomly having ideas and you're running by her, or is this really you wanted to kind of do this for? Because I think Jupiter Jet was a combo of both of you. So
yeah, we co-wrote it.
Was this one more like I want to see if I can do it on my own? I want to see if I can put it together on my own. And obviously, you maybe an occasional plot point or something. You'll talk it out with your significant other. That's life. But is this very much singularly your own vision, your own point of view, your own thing?
No, yeah, this is all me. This is like I always say when you're co-writing something, you always think about, well, what can the other person add to the process that I don't have?
Right.
And since Jupiter Jet is very much a story of a 16-year-old girl,
of course,
an experience that I like, you know, I've unlike what many men on Twitter might tell you,
yeah, right.
Men have no idea what that process is.
Very true.
Right?
Very true.
So it helps to to have a consultant with that. So like for stories like Jupiter Jet and Science, like
Science, yes. Sorry.
It made sense. And fun fact, like actually it was funny, the name of Jupiter Jet was always Ashley's.
Oh,
and then the fact that she was a jetpack girl was my idea.
Wow, nice.
Which was one of my favorite origins. Like we've told the story several times where she literally told me one day, she was like, I've always wanted to write a character called Jupiter Jet. And I said, without missing a beat, and I don't know why, I was like, she's a redhead with a jetpack.
No, I've seen these moments. I've seen these light bulb moments from you. So yeah, I get it.
But Super Best Friend was just, it's a story that I kind of came up with on my own. And it made it, it would have slowed the process down for me to explain this mad world to her. Okay. It would be like it would be like NASA bringing me in to rebuild the International Space Station. Like by the time they got me caught up, that thing is in the ocean.
Yes. Well, let me ask you this then. Have you discovered that you're working something out as you write this story, as you kind of discover this story for your own? Do you like there was a motivation to write this story because of an angle that you saw that was new and unique and fun to play with? But have you discovered over these first two episodes of this series, have you discovered that there was something here subconsciously that I was working out as a writer, or there's something here that I didn't know I wanted to say that I do want to say here in these pages? Did you have any discovery about that?
It is, it's funny. This is very much a story about self-worth.
Right.
Really like hardcore. Like all through Mattie. Is like Mattie is a weird, more optimistic version of me. Right?
So you do see yourself in Mattie's
very much so. But like
okay.
I've never been as happy as Mattie. I'll tell you that. He's very boisterous. I'm not saying I'm but I'm saying like Mattie is way more giggly than I've ever been in my entire life. Right. But Mattie is very much, again, like he thinks he doesn't have any. He thinks his only purpose is to just promote superheroes.
Oh wow.
It's all he's got.
Okay.
Because it's the only thing people have liked him for, and even the other superheroes in this universe tell him, no, you have stuff to add to the world. You really do.
Yeah.
And I think that's a hard lesson that a lot of people don't realize, and that's sort of a the theme that came out of this, I think, and it was unconscious, but like again, and you know this as well because like again, we're on your show on your YouTube channel, and it's one of these things where like it's I think it's a nice reminder to people that you're like, just because you're seeing a talking face doesn't mean that is not a person with value, worth, or talent.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. That's great. That's so good. Yeah, it reminds me. I just, like as I said when I started the show, I just finished watching Spider-Man: No Way Home at around 5:30. We were in the local theater here. I took the lady who'd never seen it, and there's that scene where Andrew Garfield is speaking with Tobey Maguire, is speaking with Tom Holland about the things that they've experienced. And it's Tom Holland's talking about fighting aliens in space.
Yeah.
And, Toby's saying, oh, I fought an alien, but it wasn't in space. And then you get Andrew Garfield saying, wow, I wish I could fight an alien in space. And then you see him kind of, oh, wow, I'm nothing compared to you guys. And even as a Spider-Man in his own world, the alpha of his own world in terms of the Spider-Man side of things, when he's sitting here with two other Spider-Men, he feels a loss of self-worth. And they have to tell him, hey, what you do is incredible. What you do is phenomenal. And he doesn't want to say, I want to hear you say it. I want to hear you say it. So even in those kinds of situations, it's funny when you look at someone and all that they have, you just sometimes either they can't see it. And no matter how many times you tell them they can't see it, they've got to find it. I don't know, but you want to guide them to that place where they understand their worth. So it's
we're very much our own worst critics.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. And it's funny. The thing I love about that moment is that they specifically have Tobey Maguire say, "Hey, you're amazing."
Yes.
Branding his little subtitle. But also they do a thing where I almost feel like that was very much a way where the metatextualness of it all kind of informed the writing, because I think that was them, the screenwriters, saying, hey, look, we know those movies, but Andrew Garfield was always good as Spider-Man. And you're like, yes, you are correct. He was always good.
Right.
Yeah.
Him himself was always good. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick moment. We got 115 of you all watching us right now. Thank you so much. We're 30 minutes into the show. Please do us a favor and hit a like on this video right now as you're watching. It literally takes you 2 seconds to swing that mouse over and hit that thumbs up button. If you're watching later, do it as well, and leave a comment down below. Likes and comments elevate the visibility of the show. And most of all, if you're watching live, send in some support. Send in some love for the conversations we're having here on the show, and thank Jason for coming on. For God's sake, send in some love through your Streamlabs and your super chats, because we love to have that here tonight. Let's set a $200 goal if we can. Let's get to 200, 300. Hell, it's President's Day. Let's have some fun and make some money up in here, and maybe we'll create some goals here. Send in your money and ask for a goal. Let's hit a goal. Let's make it happen. This Philip Bryan, one of my favorite recent Outlaw Nation members here, he says, here I am thinking I'm wasting my time online, and then two of my favorites pop up together. This is my official suggestion that Inman guests on the Cinephiles. Well, Philip, since you've already been on this, Jason has been on the Cinephiles. We did The Dark Knight with Jason, and it was an awesome experience.
It was a 2-part episode because I couldn't shut up.
Yeah, well, the three of us, really.
Yeah.
This was one of our first initial 2-parters, because I remember that was the time when we weren't sure if people would stick around for a second part, would they get upset? But we knew that was a film that needed an incredible amount of time and dedication, and someone as knowledgeable as Jason is about the lore of Batman to come in and speak about it. So,
by the way, I want to give you some love for the Cinephiles, because I listened to your Star Trek the Motion Picture episode recently.
Oh, yes.
And it was fantastic. So everybody should go check that out, because I was like one of my favorite. I'm very excited for that 4K re-release of the director's cut.
Dude, yes, I can't wait. That was a fun experience breaking that film down with Mance. I mean, so much fun to talk about. And I think we're cycling around to some more of them. And if we get into Next Generation, I got a feeling Inman might be a call I need to make.
If you do First Contact, call
done
me.
And done.
Call
done
me.
And done. Lock it in. Lock it in. Absolutely, Jason. Mance can't own all the Star Trek films.
That's right.
So we need other perspectives as well. Doug Developer is in here, and he says, hi, guys. I'm an entrepreneur thinking about using Kickstarter for my greeting cards. Have you ever considered hiring a social media manager to boost your careers? They're expensive, but I think having good social media presence takes serious skills. Yeah, Jason, have you ever thought about that?
I've looked into it. It's pretty pricey. It's really pricey, but I do think if you could afford it, it will make a difference. But I've also heard from many other people that have run other Kickstarters where sometimes the best marketing for a Kickstarter is the grassroots marketing. It's just your own tweets, your own Facebook. You actually direct messaging people and just saying like, hey, I don't know if you know this, but I got a Kickstarter and you follow me here. We've never talked before, but like maybe go check it out or give it a retweet. Like sometimes that is the best, I find, use of your time than like hiring a full-on social media manager.
Yeah, social media managers can be a lot. I mean, social media. I remember I tried out one $5,000 a month. Or that's what they wanted to charge me. And a friend was working there, so she got the number down. But I was like, it got me verified. It got me in. So it accomplished its goal, but it was a pretty penny. And then boom, I stopped because that Collider money. Once they let me go from Collider, I was like, nope, can't afford it anymore. I gotta go and because I didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, I'm doing good, but I didn't know at the time what was going to happen.
Yeah,
so, yeah. I mean, I'm happy to get a social media manager, Doug, but they are super expensive, and you don't see the results right away. It takes a little bit of time.
No, it takes time. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing I say about everybody. The question people ask me all the time is they're like, you know, and I'm nowhere as near active on YouTube as you are, John. I kind of like let that go.
You got other things going on,
I just only so many times. There's only so many hours in the day, everybody.
But if I was doing what you're doing, you'd never see me on YouTube.
The thing that somebody told me once, and I tell this all the time, is I'm like, if you're going to start a YouTube channel, you better commit for 12 months.
Oh yeah,
because
least
you won't see any results until like month 11 or 12.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to be consistent.
Yep.
You can't just be like, oh, I feel like it or I don't feel like it. You got to be consistent.
I say that to people starting podcasts too. I'm like, you better commit to 52 weekly episodes. And if you can't commit to that, then don't even start it.
Yep. I'll tell you something that happened this year for the first time ever. 6 years of doing the top 10. We finally took 1 week off. We had never done that.
You'd never taken a week off in 6 years?
Never taken a week off. We'd either pre-record. Well, we
always take Christmas and Thanksgiving off every year.
Yeah.
Yep.
We had never taken a week off. We'd always pre-recorded or got episodes done or did 2 episodes a week and then dropped them on the holidays. We had never, so we took 1 week off. We had no content and nobody had an issue with it. And it was great to have just like week off of not worrying about it.
No,
and it's great. It's a fun.
We always, I mean, you know, man, like the bigger podcast, the you know, Making a Murder and
my God,
all those other podcasts, like they take time off all the time.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so like to me, it's one of these things.
Anticipation.
Yeah, exactly. You can take a breather here and there. People don't need. There's so much content.
Yes.
They don't need a pod. You can take New Year's break, or I think we take 3 to 4 weeks off a year.
Wow.
But we only make them like 1 week breaks.
Yeah, right. Of course.
But
you don't want to go too far.
You gotta give you like to me, Christmas and Thanksgiving week. Automatic no episodes. I'm sorry, folks. We're with family. You're with family. Stop listening to podcasts. Go be with your family.
I respect that. Ronan Unchained said, hi, John and Jason. My question is, Jason, do you and Ashley plan to one day try making a comic with Image Comics? Ooh. To me right now, they're one of, if not the comic book label I would want to create comics / graphic novels with more than Marvel and DC. What do you think about that, Jason?
Image Comics is really rad. They are an excellent company. But I will tell you, fun fact, folks, you can pitch Image Comics and they can turn you down. They don't take everybody.
You've gone through this experience, I feel like.
I'm not going to say that, but I would love to. I would be honored actually to have an Image comic. That is one of my goals, to have an Image comic. I mean, it's also Super Best Friend right now is only for Kickstarter. That's the thing I love about Kickstarter. It's only for them. It's, you know, but once I do the 3rd Kickstarter and get the 3 issues, I think I'm going to pitch it to a publisher. Wow. And be like, and you know, so that way it can be in bookstores and that way it can be in places. But I want only the Kickstarter backers to have it first. But no, I have some ideas. The biggest problem with comic books, and this is another thing about independent comic books, even Image comic books. It's the reason why I went to Kickstarter. Yeah, you have to pay your art as the writer, as the creator. Right. You have to pay your artist a living wage, because every single day, and most artists can only do 1 page a day. Yeah. They have to work. And if they're only working on your comic book, you got to pay them. Or otherwise, you're an evil corporation. Yeah, true. So, you know, and so like I like to pay my collaborators a living wage. So like that's the other thing about it, is like I only have so much budget for so many independent comic books. You know? And Image is in Image. All Image does is they put it in comic book stores and they print it. That's it. Right. If you want an artist to draw it, you still got to pay them. Exactly. So, but I hope to one day. I really do. Fair enough. Fair enough. Philip Bryan is back again. This Philip Bryan saying, call this a donation to the First Contact Fund. The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther.
Well, yeah, and absolutely. Well, I'll talk. I mean, I'll text Steve right after the show is done and say, lock down Jason for first contact.
I mean, would you guys even want to do first contact?
Yeah, I like first contact.
I do too. I do too, but I don't,
next generation ones I like.
It seems, I'll tell you what, if you're going to do Search for Spock, throw me in there too.
Ooh, have we done?
I have some love for Search for Spock. I think that movie gets more...
gets better?
No, I was going to say, I think that movie gets more hatred than it deserves. I think that movie is better than people think it is.
2, 3, and 4 is a fantastic trilogy.
It's almost the best Star Trek trilogy. I mean, it's the only one. Argue. Yeah.
I don't like. I like Into the Darkness. I don't like Star Trek Beyond. I'm not a Star Trek Beyond.
Oh, you don't like Star Trek Beyond?
I've watched that thing 3 times to try to make myself like it. Are there moments that I love that are quintessential Star Trek? Yes, but overall, it doesn't work for me as strongly as I was hoping. It feels a little interesting. Dark world in certain moments, and I'm just
I think Beyond. I will tell you, I didn't like it when I first saw it too.
Yeah, okay.
And then I rewatched it, and the writing in Beyond is really good. To me, the biggest problem is that they had an actor like Idris Elba, and they buried him in makeup and made him growl for an hour.
Yeah,
it's you're exactly right with Thor: Dark World. It's the exact same. When you have an actor like Christopher Eccleston, have him speak English for God's sakes.
Yeah. Why are we covering him up the whole time? I get why you cover up Adebisi, but why are you covering up Christopher Eccleston? It makes
I think everything else besides the villain is great in that movie. And I think it's one of the few Star Trek movies I think where everybody in the crew gets a great moment.
The Scotty Bones stuff is just great. That is so good stuff.
And also we could not ask for Chekhov gets a lot to do in that movie.
Oh yeah.
And since it's going to be Anton Yelchin's like final Star Trek movie, it's a pretty good goodbye to that character.
I agree. Pretty good goodbye. William Harold saying that you Klingon bastards, you killed my son.
You Klingon bastards, you killed my son. Yeah.
You have not done. Okay, we haven't done Search for Spock. All right, fair enough.
Fun fact. See, here's the thing. I believe.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on this, but that line where he goes, "You Klingon bastards, you killed my son," I believe that is either the first or the second take that Shatner ever did of that line. Wow. And the reason why I know this is because there's an interview with Leonard Nimoy before he passed, where he said that he went to Bill and he said, before he delivered that line, and he said, "Go as big as you want." And him falling off the chair and barely being able to breathe is that take.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I love that. You vouched for me. All of that from 6.
Genesis planet is forbidden, or whatever the line is. And their bad Mos Eisley Cantina.
Oh yeah. Oh God. Yeah, absolutely.
Like I said, there's a lot of bad stuff in that movie, but there's a lot of great stuff in that movie too.
There's redeemable stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Not going to deny. All right, that's it for Streamlabs Super Chats for right now. Ladies and gentlemen, keep sending them in. Send them in for God's sakes. Give us some love here. Give some love. Let's get the. Come on, it's a holiday. Send in some support. Send in some love. That's
why they're all busy celebrating George Washington.
We got 115 people. They're not all celebrating right now. So thank you very much for joining us. Hit a like on this video and leave a comment, as we said. Let's move on. And the Kickstarter is here. And I'll put the address, ladies and gentlemen. I'll put the address in the description of this chat for Super Best Friend, the Kickstarter for Jason's comic book here, and give it some love. Support that as well as you support us, hopefully with Streamlabs and Super Chats. Send in some love to that as well, because it's great work that Jason's doing.
Oh, thanks, man.
Here with also. Oh no, dude, please. I've nothing.
By the way, some of these foil covers are still available.
Look at that.
Look at throwing it up there. Look at that. Look at this. See how shiny that thing is?
You have to order it from the website.
It's an add-on on the Kickstarter because they only printed like 50. So I have like 10 left. So when you back the Kickstarter, it'll bring up like add-on. Do you want to add on? And you'll see full cover.
Wow. Okay. Done and done. I should put one of these. Yep. Jake Yacovetta's here. He says, "Shit, I hate that I was late for this one." No, you're on time now. In fact, Jake, you can make it up by sending us a $200 donation. Sending us
$200.
Send us a World Girls $200 Streamlabs right now to support Jason being on the show and to apologize for being late to this show. But great to see you in here. Appreciate it, Jake. I love you madly. You know it. In fact, the graphics you see on the screen are Jake Yacovetta's graphics. He's done great stuff for the channel. And we're changing the overall look of the channel that is happening here over the next few weeks into March. All
Jake,
the shows are going to have different
send
graphics.
me a message on Twitter. I need a graphic artist. Here and there.
Come on now. Let's move on to Peacemaker. I put this
Sure.
in the title. Let's talk about it, dude. You're a DC guy. John, I don't know how much of a pro wrestling guy you are with John Cena.
Not at all. Not one bit.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So we're coming out of the Suicide Squad with James Gunn, which was, I would argue, better than obviously the Suicide Squad film from David Ayer, but not the David Ayer. Obviously, there's an Ayer cut somewhere, supposedly. But this, I think, was a better job. Not a fully better. It wasn't a great film, but certainly was a better job. And you coming into Peacemaker, tell me your overall feeling now that the season is done. We probably won't spoil too much. It's a warning to everybody, but we might touch on a couple things that have happened here. What do you think overall now of the first season of Peacemaker? John Cena, James Gunn, Jennifer Holland, everybody involved in this. What do you think?
Look, I'll tell you, going into it, was not interested at all.
Really? Okay.
Not one bit. Because the Peacemaker character, the role that he serves in the Suicide Squad. By the way, how many thes are we going to put in front of things just to make them different? Like the Wolverine, the Suicide Squad, the Batman, like the Star Wars, the Star Trek.
The super best friend.
Just subtitle. Just subtitle it. The Jupiter Jet, the Geek History Lesson, you're doing it, the Outlaw Show.
I like it.
Why aren't you Outlaw Show, John?
I know. No, I'm not doing an Outlaw Nation show. It's the Outlaw Nation.
Yeah, anyways.
Yes.
But he was such a despicable character in that movie. And I was very much not interested. I was like, I kind of thought the show was going to be a prequel, actually. I thought the show was going to tell you how he got to prison. So then when it was a sequel, I was very worried. But then I watched the pilot and I loved it. And I'll be honest with you, I think each episode gets better and better and better. The finale, I thought I was like about halfway through the finale, and there's an astounding scene about, I won't spoil it, about a miracle. And they flash back to the scene from the pilot where they double down. And you were like, oh, look at you, James Gunn, setting this up.
Right.
Sort of Chekhov gunning this.
Yeah.
And I opened up my phone because I always have a list of like best of 2022 or whatever, because we do it for our podcast, Geek History Lesson. And I wrote down Peacemaker best, or one of the best television shows of 2022. Like that last episode, it really impressed me. And I will say this as well. I think John Cena got better as an actor across the season as well. I think he really did. What did you think about it?
I absolutely loved it. I couldn't believe it. I'm in the same boat with you. I walked into this thing going, why do I care about a Peacemaker show when he was such a jerk off? He killed Rick Flag. He tried
Who was a good character.
He was a good character. I feel bad for Joel Kinnaman.
I do too.
He tried to kill Idris Elba. And so he wasn't a good guy. So why do I care about the, plus he symbolizes the worst of America. Why the hell would I want to see the show? And who knew that James Gunn was just smirking the whole time as he was putting this thing together? Because I think he quietly knew he was going to turn everybody's opinion around on this guy and kind of show you that there are more layers to the talent of John Cena than anybody could have possibly expected, other than maybe John Cena. Maybe even he didn't know he was capable of some of this stuff as believably capable as he was throughout the season. I think of the scene where he in season 2 where he is, or episode 2, where he's slapping himself and saying nobody loves you, nobody likes you. That's what all the breakdown that's happening there. When he has the moment with his father near the end, what he does there, the absolute smashing of emotions in his face before he does what he does, and then after he does what he does, all of that, the stuff when he navigates the stuff with Jennifer Holland initially, and then later revisits that from a place of respect, the growth in the character, the subtle and overt growth that was done by John Cena is some of the best acting I've ever seen. And I always thought Batista was the odds-on favorite to win an Oscar before anybody else of these pro wrestlers. Now John Cena is in the mix ahead of The Rock, which is kind of shocking.
It depends on what he does. Like, he I agree. Like, there's a shot now where if John Cena in the right project. I mean, I still think it's going to be The Rock, though. I think my theory is it's going to be The Rock playing a high school football coach, and in the city, the part of the city, the team that's always lost and doesn't deserve to win, and he's going to like Hoosiers their way to the national championship or something like that. But I agree with you, man. It's funny. Like, a couple of things from this is, one is, I kind of think that James Gunn's tone fits like sort of redneck dramedy more than it does sci-fi. And look, everybody, I say this, I'm a redneck, so I get to say that term. So I don't want to hear no crap. And then the other thing about it that's so interesting to me is I think the needle drops work way better in this than they do in Guard. Like that's the thing. I thought this about the Suicide Squad too, where I was like, man, I kind of want to see the universe where we saw this before Guardians of the Galaxy.
Fair. Yeah.
Because I think it fits his tone better. And then I also, James Gunn, he did this interview where he said, he was like, I think I'm just, after Guardians 3, I'm just going to make TV shows. And then, and to be honest with you, I'll say this, you're a damn good showrunner, James Gunn. So I'm in. I'm on board. Here's my crazy question to you.
Good.
He said he's going to make another show before we get Peacemaker season 2.
Yeah. A spin-off show.
With another character from the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Who is it?
I mean, it has to be Harley Quinn.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. Or Polka Dot Man. I mean, the whole
I would go Polka Dot Man if it was me.
Right? David Dastmalchian is incredible. And a favorite of James Gunn's, clearly.
Yes.
And that whole thing with the mom, that actress who played the mom, which I think was a local actress from where they were shooting, she was incredible. And they dressed her up in those different outfits to do the nightclub scene. It was great.
And it is comic book, so I think you could come up with a crazy reason for how he survived, too.
Oh, sure.
Like maybe he went into a polka dot from a because that's from like the multiverse or whatever.
Yep,
yeah,
absolutely. I think that they did such a great job of fleshing him out as one of the side characters that I was like, I want to see more. There's more, and we've spent what 500 movies in the superhero world exploring the father-son dynamic. Let's explore the son-mother dynamic, which we've rarely explored, if ever, in a superhero movie. So wouldn't that be fascinating to see that whole thing play out and how it affects his relationship with women, how it affects his relationship with the team or on his own in his life? What are the spots?
It also would be a very interesting idea because even Peacemaker, right, is part of that machismo superhero supervillain character where like I'm tough and I'm good. And Polka Dot Man would be the non like, and I don't think we've seen that in a superhero television show yet.
Yeah. It's a great point.
So I think it'd be interesting. I know a lot of people in the comments are saying like Ratcatcher, but I just don't I don't know if I think I would rather see a Harley Quinn show over Ratcatcher. I just don't know if Ratcatcher could carry a show. I also felt like we saw her story in the movie.
Yeah, we kind of did. So we'd have to go from there. And Taika's doing enough, for God's sakes. We don't need to bring Taika back.
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, he's doing a million things, for God's sakes. But yeah, we'll see. But I mean, Harley Quinn makes it. But then maybe they feel like they've got the animated one with Kaylee Cuoco doing just fine, so they don't need to.
That show is that would be my pick for why you wouldn't want to do a live action Harley Quinn. That show is fantastic, by the way.
You got to top that show, and that is tough to do.
And it would be very hard to do.
Tops itself every season.
The greatest Commissioner Gordon outside of comic books is in Harley Quinn.
That's a fair point.
Yep.
Absolutely. No, we're not going to do a King Shark show. Tushka, I love Tushka, but King Shark, you can't do a whole season of King Shark, can you? I don't think you can.
I don't think you can either.
No.
I don't know what that show would be.
Just him pointing to things. And
you could do a TikTok account with King Shark.
You could kill with a TikTok account.
And DC should do that if they were smart. Talk about like what because there used to be that account that was it was like the goddamn Batman, remember? And it was like the ultimate Batman, and he was always tweeting about how he's killing Robins left and right. How he was up to like 47 Robins at this point, where he was like, poisoned it. The Joker poisoned another one. Got to go to the orphanage. Yeah. So you could do that with a King Shark TikTok, I think.
Totally.
Yeah. It's people just showing the food, and he just goes, num num,
Let's see. Ronan and James send in a little donation. It says, hi again, Jason and John. Will you both be going to WonderCon? Yeah, Jason, are you going to WonderCon?
As of right now, I am not.
Okay.
I'm still a little leery of massive events with thousands of people from all of their states and all their countries. If things keep going the way they're going, I will probably go to San Diego this year.
Yeah, okay.
But I think it's a hair too soon. I say that as putting it on Real Street here as a person who got COVID before the pandemic and didn't know it was COVID until later on, and then I have a family member that had some health issues from COVID too. So I'm gonna play it. Hey, all of you out there, go Wild West. You can take that's your health, but for my health, I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play a little bit safer, a little bit longer.
Yeah. I unfortunately had to turn down 4 tickets for me and my girlfriend and her sister and her boyfriend for Garth Brooks that's coming up here soon in San Diego. Because I was like, no way, I'm not going into, or even in an outdoor stadium. I still don't trust it because people are not going to wear their masks. They're going to be yelling and coughing, drinking, spitting all over the place.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like right now I'm like, okay, I'm fine with movie theaters and I'm fine with restaurants because, you know, what, like in some of those, like the max that's going to be in the room is 200 people. But like Garth Brooks, that's going to be like 50,000 people, man. And, you know, and that's again, WonderCon's gonna be the same thing. It's gonna be like 200,000 people at WonderCon.
Yeah.
And so I'm still, look, and part of that might be that I might be a little bit too cautionary, but you know, also it's just like, you know, your odds go up. It's you know, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. So
I'm double vaxxed and boosted and I still wear my mask everywhere.
Me too.
Because fuck you. I'm wearing my mask. I haven't been sick in over 2 years.
Me neither, dude. Not since I had COVID.
Well, I used to get sick 3-4 times a year. It drove me insane. It would slide.
And I would get sick. And here's the thing. I would get sick from every con.
Yeah.
Every con, dude. Yeah. I would come back with the worst for 2 days after. I would be the sickest. I would be San Diego, WonderCon, New York Comic Con. All made me sick, every single one of them. And to be honest with you, I don't miss that at all.
Nope. And I kind of don't miss working in an outlet where people come to work sick because they don't want to stay home and miss doing a review and they breathe on the mic, spit on the mic, and it's not clean.
No, so, it's one of those. Like to me, it's one of those things. It's no. I actually had a person actually reach out to me today and was like, "I would love to have you on the WonderCon panel." And I was like, "Nah, a little too soon. Sorry, a little too soon."
If you put me in a glass case, wheel me out, then wheel me back out into my car, then fine. Yes.
Yeah. Omicron. That's something like that's kind of the way I feel. You know, that's kind of the way I feel. I think, you know, but again, if things keep going the way they're going,
yeah.
I think San Diego will be pretty safe. I think by 6 months from now, I think we'll be pretty good.
Yeah. No, you're not. You know, I think, and they're starting to loosen up these restrictions, so I imagine that's going to be possible. I imagine so.
Yep. Well, we'll see.
This. J&B saying, please be safe, guys, especially Roku, who fits in the 90-year-old and above. You're right. Still look younger than you, J&B. Look at this. Not a gray hair on me, son. Look at you. Don't come play here, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got 135 of you watching us now live. Thank you so much for joining us for this fun conversation, catching up with Jason Inman. He just finished talking a little bit ago about his new book here, Super Best Friend. He's got it. It's got the issue number 2 coming out here. There it is. You got a foil cover, which is something really cool for those of us who are 90s comic book collectors. Pretty cool to see that. It's got so much going on. The Kickstarter, if you're watching this later, the address is in the description of the video. I think it's in the description of the video now, to be honest with you. I put it in there before we started the show, so it's there now if you want to go and donate and help to go to issue number 3 for sure. But speaking of donations, send us your Streamlabs and your Super Chats. It's pinned in the chat, pinned in the description of the video. It's right there on the screen. Send in some love to say thank you for us doing this show and for getting Jason to be a guest on the show, for God's sakes. Renee Moncayo sitting here saying, hey, 3 mask wearer here. How about Captain Boomerang as the spinoff? Ooh, with the Jai Courtney. What do you think about that?
You know, I'll tell you what. What do you think about, are we able to spoil the Suicide Squad?
Yes.
You think so?
Oh, yes. If you haven't seen the Suicide Squad by now, how are you watching this show and how are you?
That's fair. How are you watching? Well, I'll say this. I'll give everybody, if you haven't seen the Suicide Squad, which has been on it's been on HBO Max for 6 months now. Look, there's a lot out there. I haven't even seen Sweet Tooth yet, and I want to see it.
Oh, right.
Haven't had the chance to see it.
Season 2.
Yeah, it'll probably be season 2 before I get to watch it. It'll probably be season 3 by the time I get to watch that. I was surprised.
Yes.
They killed him off
in
the Suicide Squad. I was really, because Jai Courtney, actually I think it's one of Jai Courtney's best roles.
Yeah.
He's really good as Captain Boomerang. I'd love to see it, but my gut tells me since they killed him off that Jai Courtney is kind of saying that he's done with the character.
Oh, maybe, I guess.
You know?
But I will say this. I interviewed him for the Deep Cut at Collider when I was there. And it was right when he had been called back to shoot scenes. Because remember, this has been delayed for quite some time because of COVID.
It was delayed for quite a while.
Right?
Yeah.
He was so happy to be back. Like you could tell in the conversation. I think it's still up on their channel.
Yeah.
He was so happy to do it.
So I bet everybody was, because I bet you that entire cast, even Joel Kinnaman, even Margot Robbie, I bet you they thought, they were like, I'll never play this. I bet you even after Birds of Prey, like Margot Robbie was like, I'll never play Harley Quinn again. It's never going to happen.
Yeah. And then James Gunn shows up and then all of a sudden, whoa, wait a minute. I'll absolutely be in a James Gunn.
So I understand that he was like, man, whoever thought I'd play, it's one of these things where I always see people, especially in fandom, they're always like, man, why do you think they signed on to be that movie? And it's like, or what do you always hear like, why do you think they signed on to do that superhero? And you're like, because if you get the chance, there's three things, right?
Yeah, break it down.
John, I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna ask you this question. You're an actor, so here we go. All right, John. If I show up and I say, John, hello, I'm DC Comics, I'm Warner Brothers. Hello, how are you doing? Hello, thanks for coming to this meeting, John.
Thank you.
Okay. We want you to play Ambush Bug. Yes or no? Right now. I need a yes or no answer. You're going to be the lead of Ambush Bug.
The lead of Ambush Bug?
You are Ambush Bug in the Ambush Bug movie.
But I'm
yes
the
or
lead.
no?
Yes. If I'm the lead, yes.
See? Right? You would never say no to that to any superhero, even if they were just like, all right, John, here we go. John, hello, I'm Marvel Comics.
Yes.
I'm Kevin Feige. Hello. My hair is grown back. I don't wear hats anymore. Thanks for coming to this meeting in Los Angeles. I know it's been a long drive for you. Would you like some M&Ms? We have some M&Ms in the corner. Do you need M&Ms?
Only if they're green.
Okay, we have some green. We have production assistants that pick them apart.
Oh, perfect.
John, I'm here to offer you the lead role as Speedball in the Speedball movie. I need a yes or no answer right now.
Is it Kevin Feige and Marvel?
I'm Kevin Feige now, John. You were talking to Kevin Feige.
Sorry. Are you involved in it, Kevin?
Of course I am. Yes.
It's not even a hesitation. Yes, absolutely.
See? Okay.
What do I say?
So here's the last one. Okay. Hello, John. I'm George Lucas here. I'm back with I'm back on Star Wars, and I've personally written the script for Greedo the movie. We want you to play Greedo. You will be in a mask the entire time, but you will be the lead. You will be our Greedo. Like the Mandalorian, like Pedro Pascal. Sometimes we will peel the skin back. Hello. And, I have a very important story about Modesto, California to tell through the lens of Greedo.
Okay.
Will you be Greedo? I need a yes or no answer right now.
George Lucas, huh?
George Lucas. Hello.
I'll do it. If it's George Lucas, why
Boom!
not?
See? Yeah. Right? Again, it's one of these things where and most of the time when you say that answer, you don't know what the script is, but you would be an idiot.
Right.
An idiot to say no to any of those opportunities.
It's a great point. Because you imagine if you're the lead, you're going to have input on the script and the direction of the script. You're going to have some kind of influence on where this thing is going, especially if you're the lead. So
those opportunities are so rare in the industry that Star Trek, it's the same for Star Trek. It's the same for Lord of the Rings. It's the same for, I think, any of those franchises. Like the minute, I don't think it matters what it is, even if you're like Gunfighter number 3 in the Book of Boba Fett, you would say yes just to be in a Star Wars.
Of course. Oh my God. Which explains why Ming-Na Wen said yes.
Yeah.
To basically just giving looks and the occasional line in Book of Boba Fett. So,
the one example I saw quite a bit was the actors. I saw the actors that kind of played the cybernetic motorcycle gang in Book of Boba Fett. Yeah. They got a lot of people, a lot of fandom was going after specifically the actors, being like, "Why would you sign up for such a crap part?" And I was like, "Because they were in a Star Wars."
Yeah, no, they weren't the problem with that situation.
No,
Rodriguez
they were not.
Spy Kids in Star Wars. There was a problem.
Yeah, they were not the problem at all.
No. That's so stupid.
Yeah, but no, it's. I mean, again, you would never say, as we saw, none of those parts, by the way, would be great parts.
Yeah.
But you would say yes to be in those things.
Ambush Bug, that sounds good to me.
Yeah, Ambush Bug. That's the one I always say. Like people always ask me, like, what's the DC character that I never thought that I thought would never be made? And I would say Ambush Bug. And there was one of them I used to say in Collider Heroes to John Schnepp all the time.
Yeah.
And then it got made. I can't remember what it was. It happened. I can't remember who it was.
Girl? No.
It was somebody like Squirrel Girl.
Oh, yeah. Lena Vaintrub, right?
No, it was. You know who it was? It was Wild Dog.
Oh yeah.
John Schnepp and I would always be like, they'll never do Wild Dog, and then he showed up on Arrow.
I love it. I love it. So overall, do you think, like, coming out of Peacemaker, because it's going to be a season 2?
Sure.
Do you think like that? Because I'm starting to hear some grumblings or some talk in the air that people like maybe they have found their Feige in James Gunn. And you talk about the interview you did, I think it was Rolling Stone or Deadline, where he said, after Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I'm not doing another movie for a year. I'm focusing on TV for a year. I just want to focus on season 2 of Peacemaker and, like you said, the spinoff series. Do you think that's opening the door, opening the window for the possibility that DC goes to James Gunn and goes, hey, man, what if you become our Kevin Feige? Or do you think that DC is just kind of doing its own thing now? They've kind of found their path, and you've got Batgirl coming out, you got Blue Beetle coming out, the Batman comes out in a couple of weeks. This is crazy to think about. And you got we just had that Joker film. Do you feel an Aquaman 2 is coming, Flash movie, the multiverse? Do you think they're like, okay, we've got it planned out now. We don't need a Feige. We're okay.
You know, it's interesting because I've said this for quite a while. I always think that Warner Brothers is too big to have a Feige.
Oh, interesting.
It's too big. It's such. Well, okay. So think about it. When Marvel Studios was founded,
right,
pre-Disney,
yes,
and they were, if you remember, in the first like 4 Marvel movies, there's a Paramount Plus, or there's a Paramount Studios logo.
Yes,
it's Paramount comes up because Paramount was the distributor.
Right.
And the only reason I think that Disney even allowed Kevin Feige to stay where he was and stay in control, was because they signed the Disney deal, and I believe the Disney deal happened like 2 or 3 months before Avengers 1.
Oh, wow.
And then Avengers 1 is $1 billion.
Right.
So and if you look at Disney's history, it's very similar to Pixar. Pixar was the same way. Like, Pixar was their own. And I think the interesting thing about it is that Disney was smart enough to be like, they know what they're doing. Let's just leave the money machine alone, and we'll step in if we think there are problems.
Right.
But Warner Brothers, you know, there hasn't been. There's no separate entity. Like, DC is Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers is Disney. They were never separate. They were never opposite side. I actually think the strategy that they are starting this year is the best. I think let a great filmmaker, let a great artist pitch a great idea for a thing, and just leave them alone. Let them. I don't need these movies to be connected. I don't need them to be connected with Marvel, actually. I actually think that, and I actually think the interconnectivity of Marvel is actually going to be the end of Marvel.
Wow.
Well, think about it, man. Okay. Okay. Doctor Strange 2 is coming out in May. I'm very excited for that movie because I loved the first Doctor Strange movie. Based on the trailer, tell me how many movies I need to watch to even understand. If I'm fresh out the gate, I've never seen a Marvel movie, but I like Doctor Strange and I'm a fan of Sam Raimi. Name me all the things I need to watch before I watch Doctor Strange 2.
Well, I'll go one further. I got to give you things to watch and things to read, because you've got America Chavez, who has had no presence in the MCU up until this point. Possibly the Savage Lands. That's something you've got to read, because we haven't even gotten into that. Nightmare. We've got to go read that.
You've got to watch WandaVision.
You got to watch WandaVision.
You've got to. I've heard that Loki's in that movie, so that means you've got to watch Loki now. Like, it's the barrier to entry becomes so long that there's a certain point where you're only going to be making movies for the audience that has seen literally everything you've made. Whereas, you know, like, I'm hoping this is what DC is doing. Is like, again, you release a Joker movie. What do I need to know? Nothing. Do you know who the Joker is? Yep. Okay, cool. The Batman. Do you know who Batman is? Yep. All right, cool. Go see the Batman. You don't need to know anything else. Like, the Suicide Squad, even though it was connected, I thought did a really nice job of just being like, you don't need to know anything. Walk into this.
Yes. We'll give you 2 teams. You'll
exactly. Like, to be honest with you, that's kind of what I would like DC to do, is just be like, the Batman's over here, the Flash is over here, Aquaman is over here. If they connect, they connect. Awesome. If they don't, they don't. Who cares? Right. Like, who cares? Like, we're so concerned about this interconnectivity, and it's like, who cares, man?
Right. They can have the freedom to interconnect where they deem it necessary.
Yep.
And then not interconnect at all. Where a majority of the
and without any spoilers.
Yeah.
There's a great interconnectivity joke that James Gunn does in the finale of Peacemaker.
Yes.
I won't reveal what it is,
you're right.
but it works because it was set up in episode 1.
Yes.
They do a joke in episode 1, and then in episode 6, when they have this quote unquote guest star show up, it's paying off that joke. So you're like, cool, that's where interconnectivity pays off. It works. It really works. But otherwise, like, I mean, like this is not who shows up in Peacemaker.
Right.
But how odd would it have been? Think about this, like in the finale of Peacemaker, because this doesn't happen to anybody, and this is not spoilers for anything. How odd would it have been if Michael Keaton Batman showed up at the end of Peacemaker?
Oh,
wouldn't that have raised more questions that it would have? You'd have been like, wait a minute, Batman's in this universe? And then you would have been like, wait a minute, and he's old? And wait a minute, does that mean that Peacemaker's in the continuity of the Michael Keaton Batman movie? You're like so lost that you're just like, this was a mistake right from the get-go just to put Batman in here.
But that also would launch 1,000 YouTube videos about how the ending explained.
It would. But so like they're like, I don't know. To me, I'm always like, and it's the thing that Marvel has gotten away with is that so far Marvel has done a really good job of like putting the story first and everything else be damned. Like the one reason why I think they were able to pull off Spider-Man No Way Home and all those cameos is because they not only did they use that as a story reason for Tom Holland,
right,
but they used it as a story reason for the old movies too. Like the old characters got to have arcs in this new movie. And so there was a story reason for them to be there. They weren't just there to be set dressing.
Right.
Which
is what you wanted. Yeah.
And that's what you want. And that's fan service and interconnectivity done well.
Right.
And I'm worried, I don't know, because I'm worried that Star Wars is starting to do this, is that like, when you just throw in a character, just have a character in an episode just to be like, look, the character's there, but there's no story reason for the character to be there, it comes off flat every time, where you're just like, why did that happen?
It felt like Cad Bane, right? With Cad Bane, great introduction of Cad Bane come in to live action Boba Fett, and then to have him pull the stuff that he's pulling in that finale, you're like, why would he stick around? Cad would not stick around as a point of pride once the tide had turned. It doesn't make any sense at all, and then to have that kind of ending as you did, I thought it was weird.
It would have worked if Cad Bane had showed up in like episode 1 or 2,
right? Because then,
since he didn't show up till like 4,
right? Yeah,
you just get like this. He just kind of shows up, and
no, he doesn't show up till 6. Because it's 8. Oh no, you're right.
No, he shows up a couple episodes before because they do the gunfight. But it's like,
I forget the episodes.
If they don't really lay the groundwork for who he is. And like, I know who he is because like I've watched Clone Wars, but like, I guarantee you there's somebody that watched Boba Fett that has not seen the animated shows. They just like, they know Boba Fett from the movies, and they're watching this and just saying, who's this blue guy?
Yeah. Dan Murrell, who was on the Hollywood Critics Association review show with me and Maggie Lovett and Laura Iskrill, he said that. He said, I've got to apparently do homework now to understand, because he had never seen Cad Bane in any of the animated stuff, because he's never seen Clone Wars, I don't think, and he hadn't seen Bad Batch. So he was like, why? I don't. Star Wars is now making it so that we as fans have to do homework.
Yep.
And I said to him, I said, this is the reality. This is what's going on now.
And Marvel's getting very close to that point too.
Very much. Well,
especially now, since Disney Plus popped up.
Yeah, I was going to say there's no way you can go into Phase 4 and not have seen or needed to see WandaVision, Loki, Hawkeye, A Falcon and Winter Soldier. You have to see all those shows so that you have an idea of what's happening as we go into this next phase. In Phase 4, all of that Now, did it touch on Spider-Man No Way Home? No, but Daredevil showed up. So you've got that now. Now I've got to go back and see all the seasons of that on wherever.
Well, and they just pulled that, right? So we can't watch it anywhere.
Yeah, I think that was on purpose. Too.
Like, yeah, I think so too. That's one of those. That's it's one of those things where like I remember 4 or 5 years ago seeing the Blu-rays of Daredevil in like a Target and
Yeah.
saying to myself, be like, well, why would I buy the Blu-rays? And now you're just like, well, there you go. That's the reason why, because it's gone. The show is gone.
Physical media, motherfuckers. It matters.
Man, I don't have enough room, John. I don't have enough room
Please,
for all these Blu-rays.
This is all my Criterion shit. This is the only place you can go.
Oh, boy.
J&B says, as a fellow Trekkie, just wanted to show some appreciation. Any chance Jason, Rocha, and Scott could do a Trek-themed trivia show on Settle the Score or on Enterprise Incidents? With Matt, with Nost.
Mhm.
Oh, that could be fun, the three of us, I suppose. Sure. But Enterprise, I don't know what, that's Steve and Scott's show, so I don't know what they do with that. But
I was supposed to be on Errand of Mercy
nice.
for Enterprise Incidents, because that's one of my favorite season 1 shows, and then scheduling got crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that I can pop on Enterprise Incidents. And I'm happy to do Settle the Score anytime, because I love that show.
Done and
I
done.
love that show.
We were just on there, the Geek Buddies,
Yeah.
fighting it out. So we'll be back.
No,
on
Andy Merriweather and Matt Nost are lovely gentlemen.
Yes, absolutely. Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, we could, if you want me to do my Scott Manson impression, like, we can just do it.
Please.
Now. You know,
Do
it's
it.
like, John Rocha, I love you. I love you, Rocha. Are we going to talk about the voyage home? Are we going to talk about, John, the voyage home? Or, you know, just saying, you know, like, I'm over here, I'm a Star Trek fan, and I know Bespin and you don't. Was that what it was? Is it Bespin?
Did you lie? Did you throw the match? I just want to know. I'm going to go to my grave, never believing.
And this is all with love. I love Scott.
Yeah, of course.
Of
course, it's the best. Well, and we talk about this turn that's happening. I mean, are you excited that the multiverse is now walking into DC through the prism of Flash, man? I mean, we're getting Ben Affleck back as Batman. We're getting Michael Keaton back as Batman. Is all this exciting you, or making you cautiously optimistic, or
I'm cautiously optimistic?
Okay.
And I'll say this, man, because it's so weird to me that it was so funny. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because maybe it is the Kevin Feige of it all, because he is a nerd and he's a Star Trek fan. But for the longest time, after Avengers 1, I kind of was like, man, DC needs to make a movie happen with Darkseid, because if they don't, everybody's just going to think Thanos or Darkseid is a ripoff of Thanos. And then here comes Thanos, and then the Darkseid movie finally happened, only on HBO Max, and everybody's like, oh, look at this copy of Thanos. And then it was so funny, like in around 2015, 2016, I was like, man, DC, this is how you beat Marvel.
Yeah.
You make a Crisis on Infinite Earths movie, and it doesn't have to be everything.
Oof.
You know, you do it like Spider-Man No Home. Imagine this. Here was my pitch in 2015 for the Crisis on Infinite Earths movie. I was like, you should do a movie where all the live action Batman all join together. So you get Keaton, you get Clooney, you get Kilmer, you CGI Adam West in there, give something to Kevin Conroy, put Ben Affleck on there, you know, and they're all there. You know, and people, it's exactly what No Way Home did. You know, like for the longest time, I said the multiverse was DC's strength.
Right.
And now Marvel is doubling down on the multiverse.
Yeah.
And it was like the one thing, if you read Marvel Comics, Marvel doesn't dabble in the multiverse. DC dabbles in the multiverse.
Yeah.
And they literally let Marvel steal their thing out from under them. So, you know, the Flash bopping around the multiverse, it's a good call. I think it is a call. It's the one thing that the Flash can do that's unique to him. But I do worry that by the time we see the Flash, because when is the Flash hit the summer?
Yeah, later on this year. Yeah.
So I worry that by the time we see the Flash, especially if it is a Flashpoint movie like all the rumors, I worry that we'll just think that it's a copy of Doctor Strange 2.
Oh, that's a fair point.
You know?
Right. Or even Spider-Man No Way Home, because they're going to be jumping around the multiverse. Yeah.
You know, but I think, man, like, I really think that DC kind of just saying, okay, Aquaman, you're this type of movie.
Yeah.
Flash, you're this type of movie. Wonder Woman, you're this type of the movie. Like, just separating them out. The Batman is the better call. It's the much better call because it allows you to have different tones. It also allows your audience to just be like, you know, I don't like Batman, but I do like this Flash movie. I'm gonna go try this out. Or like I don't like Aquaman, or I don't like Flash, but I'm gonna go Jason Momoa. I'm in.
Right.
It allows your audience. Whereas like Marvel, everything feels like Marvel.
Yeah.
Every Marvel thing has the same tone.
Mm-hmm.
They all feel the same. They're like, all right, we're gonna do this adventure-y thing, and we got some jokes. And to be honest with you, that's I think gonna start hurting them more than help them, because I'm throwing this out there, man. How do you do a Blade movie in the Marvel style?
Yeah, I mean, look,
it's a dude with a sword.
I know, true.
How do you do that?
The Blade movies did have the darker humor, for sure, but the quippy stuff I think will be hard in the Blade universe. I think it'll be hard in the the Werewolf by Night universe.
Well, the quippy stuff didn't work in Eternals at all.
Oh, I know. It was
at all.
That was horrific.
Yeah. And there are some other Marvel movies where I kind of feel like they sabotage themselves too much just to put the joke out there.
Yeah. I think Age of Ultron was the first example of that, where it was like, why are they quipping so much in the opening 20 minutes of the film? Like, just go get the guy. Why is this? Oh, well, you guys are this or that. Like, it reeks of cockiness rather than like actual having fun and camaraderie-ness.
I agree. It also kind of, to me, feels more like, and you can see this, and they've admitted to this, where several of the Marvel screeners have said that there is a rule at Marvel Studios where it's like, you can't go more than 20 minutes without an action scene. Yeah. And I think as well that there's another rule on top of that. I think they have a rule where it's like, okay, you can't say more than 10 lines of dialogue without a joke.
Wow.
And you go watch Marvel. I mean, you watch Marvel movies where you think it should. And I'm telling you, man, the jokes are like coming out like sitcoms.
Interesting.
And you're like, this is not. Why are we making this? You're like kind of sabotaging the scene just to put the joke out there.
Someone mentioning Deadpool. How are they going to do Deadpool without shoving? Yeah, if they're going to have their jokes, but where's the darkness?
I hope he's in Doctor Strange too. I think that would. That's one of the movies that I think could have Deadpool and not feel out of place.
Oh, good. Fair point. Fair point. Renee Moncayo says tips for RT Davis and his Dr.
Davies.
Oh, sorry. That's right. He's coming back. Yeah, let's talk about that. And ladies and gentlemen, by the way, 165 of you watching us right now. We've made $5. Are you fucking kidding me? Send in some support. We're having some awesome conversations. We're talking about all this. You get all this knowledge from Jason for free. Come on, send in some love. Send in some Streamlabs super chats. Give us some love here. I know money's tight, but come on, it's a holiday. Have fun. We're having a fantastic conversation. Send in some. Don't make me come to your house. I'll fucking do it. So don't make me come to your house. Send in your stuff. Yeah, what do you think about Russell T. Davis is back now, man, into Doctor Who? Who do you think is going to be Doctor Who? Have they announced it yet?
Oh, who knows? I hope it's somebody unknown.
Who do you think? It's going to be unknown. Do you think it'll be unknown?
I think so. Don't you think it's going to be somebody unknown? Well, here's the thing. It might be somebody that is very popular on the BBC that us Americans would have no clue.
How dare you? I watch BBC all the time.
Well, so I do too. I mean, I knew who Jodie Whittaker and Peter Capaldi were.
Me too.
But I had no clue who Matt Smith was.
Oh, right. No, I didn't. Or Tennant. I didn't know who Tennant was.
I didn't know Tennant either. And apparently he was in some. Oh God, he was in some BBC show before that too. It was,
right.
I want to say Lothario or something like that. I don't know.
Well, he did. He did that Henry V. Oh no, I'm sorry, Hamlet. That I absolutely hated. And I know he had popped up in the Harry Potter films.
I think that was post 2.
Was it post 2?
I think both of those are post 2. Or during Who or something like that.
Right. And I was only barely knowledgeable of Eccleston when he came back as Doctor Who. So, yeah, it's an interesting I mean, I wonder where they go next. I wonder who's in.
I don't know. It's funny because Casanova, thank you, Renee, who just that was the show that David Tennant did before Doctor Who.
Oh, gotcha.
I have a feeling I'm not a fan of Torchwood. I'm just throwing it out there.
Oh my God, Torchwood, yeah.
I think Doctor Who is a show in a universe that I don't think supports spinoffs. Just gonna say it. Because the basic capacity of Doctor Who is that we, the viewer, and are going on an adventure with this mystical magic man who can basically do anything, or magical woman, whatever, a magical person that can do anything. They are a wizard. They are a Jedi Knight. They are a they literally can do anything.
Right.
And our POV characters are the companions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the problem to me is that anytime you do a story where the Doctor doesn't show up, it kind of creates the Avengers problem where you're just like, well, why hasn't the Doctor showed up and solved this thing? I know he exists in this universe, and I know he can be anywhere and anytime infinitely.
Yeah.
Because there are infinite versions of him. So why isn't he showing up to fix this problem? He or she or they. Yeah. And I worry that that's going to just be I mean, I thought that about Eternals. When the climax of Eternals happened, I was like, where are the Avengers?
Yeah, right. Right.
There's a million Avengers in this universe. Why aren't any of them showing up?
Yeah, that's a fair point. Absolutely fair point.
I mean, what do you think? Do you think, I mean, I don't know. I mean, do you think Doctor Who spinoffs can work?
I didn't like Torchwood either. So,
and then there was another one. Did you ever see Class?
No, I did not see Class.
I saw the first episode. I saw the pilot of Class, and the Doctor shows up in it.
That's right. That's right. To try to give it a little love. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I didn't think Class was successful.
Yeah. No. I mean, in the end, it reminded me of what was the one that the actor who plays Wong? He was in that comic book adaptation.
Oh, yeah. It's not Umbrella Academy. It's Deadly Class. Deadly Class.
Yeah. I tried that, and I was like, I don't know. I liked him in it, but overall, right? Those are the
he's great
to do. Yeah, but I mean, because each one of those Doctor Who does have an overall thing, but each episode is singularly its own thing that it's difficult to spin it off, so I would be surprised that they'd be able to do any of that because it is so singularly Doctor Who that you're focusing on.
Yes.
And of course the companion, whoever the companion is. And so that's where you fall into trouble. Do you like the Russells coming back? Did you feel like the last few years weren't that great? I mean, a lot of people have been hassling, not because of Jodie, but more the writing and whatever. I have some hardcore Doctor Who friends who have been pretty upset the last.
I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen it.
Okay,
I haven't seen the last 2 seasons of Doctor Who. That's another one that I just haven't caught up on.
Yeah.
Look, I'm happy the Russell T Davies has a paycheck.
Yes, true.
I would rather we give it to somebody new.
Oh yeah, see what they can do.
Because Doctor Who, every science fiction franchise, I feel, is about looking at the future.
Right.
And to go to the old showrunner, to me, seems like we're looking backwards. To be honest with you, I thought, to me, this is the attempt to, how about we give it to a woman or a person of color?
Right.
Or, because the last 3 showrunners of Doctor Who have been British white guys.
Yeah, true. Old British white guys. Yeah.
Old British white guys.
Yeah.
Let's look towards the future and give it to somebody with a different viewpoint.
Yeah. And especially now, I mean, this is a golden age of British television right now. I mean, I just finished watching Cobra season 2 last night on PBS. Cobra's a fucking awesome show that deals with politics.
Pitch me on this. What is the show? Tell me.
So the show is Robert Carlyle. That's right. Beg me from Train
Robert Carlyle.
He is the Prime Minister of Britain, and he is in the first season. It's all about supply shortage because a power generator goes out that powers a number of cities, and they've got to, and it causes riots in the streets and chaos. And he's got to get these portable power generators into that area, but the cities have devolved into martial law for themselves, and they are deciding who gets across bridges, who doesn't. So he's got to figure out if he has to hire or he has to get the military to shoot some of his citizens so that they can get out of the way, so they can put these power generators, these portable generators on and power everybody else. In the meantime, his own cabinet, a guy there in his own cabinet, is trying to commit essentially a coup and take him out of power. So he is fighting all that. Plus his daughter got caught with drugs, and they're trying, and it ended up leading to the death.
So this is Designated Survivor yet corrupt.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah, but it's only 6 episodes. And her friend dies, and they try to blame her dead friend for the drugs instead of his daughter, which becomes a scandal. So he's navigating all of this. Season 2 is called Cyber Warfare or Cyber War. And it's all about the Russians and another rogue nation using cyber tactics to shut down England, mess with the banks, all this kind of stuff. And he's navigating all of this while also trying to, be the prime minister and kind of hold off the attempts.
Sounds great.
It's so good, and Carlisle is great, and it's 6
Robert Carlyle is
episodes,
great in
45 minutes
everything.
each. Yeah,
He's a bucket list actor. I have as a writer. I have certain actors that I really hope will one day say lines that I write, and Robert Carlyle is one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
He's so good.
Yep.
All right, let's get some of these here that have come through. Thank you all for the Streamlabs Super Chats. Adam Grunther, do you think they will ever make Deadpool 3 any MCU film rated R?
Okay, you're more in the know on this, I think, on movie news, especially the last couple of years, John.
Sure.
What do you my gut says no. What does your gut say?
Well, they have said that they've got their mind open to an R-rated Deadpool film. The thing is, you don't have to do an R-rated Deadpool film. No,
that's true.
I mean, look, every Batman film is PG-13. This Batman film, which looks dark as fuck, dealing with taped up people and all kinds of serial killing nonsense.
Yeah, he fights the Zodiac killer.
Yeah, essentially. And so it feels to me like an R-rated film very clearly, but it's PG-13. So it's nowadays, I think it's really possible to go up to that line and still be PG-13. So I wonder if they'll be able to do it. But that being said, it should be R-rated. And I think the pressure will come on to Marvel if they don't, especially when you see the success of Joker as $1 billion film that's R-rated.
And Logan too did quite well.
Yes.
And then for being R-rated.
How good Peacemaker was. That's an R-rated show.
Yep.
There's nobody saying the F-bomb in the Disney.
Isn't the finale of Peacemaker now the most watched thing on HBO Max?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So to me, that's where I think Marvel will get jittery, because DC has really cornered the market on these like grittier, real approaches to their characters into these superhero TV shows.
Which just tells me that we're living in the bizarro timeline, because the fact that the gritty real universe where Peter Parker is constantly poor, Marvel is the one that's like, no, PG. Yeah. And DC with like Wonder Woman, Golden, and Superman, and they're just like, no, put a dick on screen. We don't care.
Yeah. They don't care.
They don't care. It should be opposite. We're in bizarro world, man.
There's a total gutsiness in that I think people are starting to come around on more and more, especially Peacemaker. My God, I think Peacemaker blew people's minds because it felt like an old school 1980s kind of approach to things, where you had these off-color jokes, you had these kind of moments, but you had the character also learning. Yep. So they were able to marry the 2022 sensibility with the 1980s sensibility, and so it worked. And so I think they see that more and more of their stuff, as they go out there and explore the more honest, real approaches to things, people are gravitating to them and they're spending money on this content.
Marvel also, I have a theory that we're going to see Deadpool in a movie before we get his movie, because Marvel loves to test stuff.
Yes.
Before you see stuff.
Yeah, good point.
They love to do that. So like, that's why I'm like, kind of like, when those rumors came out about Deadpool being a Doctor Strange 2, I was like, I bet he is. I bet he's in there, and we're going to see like a dimension that is his tone, just to see, because I think Disney is kind of like, I don't know about this. I know the two other movies did well, but we don't know. And I bet they're like, because Disney also famous for focus testing the hell out of things.
Yeah.
So if there's a Deadpool scene in one of their movies, I bet you they focus test the crap out of it to be like, would you want to see another movie with this guy?
Right.
You know,
that's a good point.
So
yeah, absolutely. Secular Monk in here says, who beats the Kobayashi Maru first? Rocha, Inman, or Scott? Also, Cavill is the only Superman for me. Ooh.
So are we talking about the actual Kobayashi Maru, like the actual test?
Listen, I don't think you can ask us who would, because each of us thinks we would do it. Come on, we're Kirk fan. Well, Jason's more of a Picard fan, so I don't know.
I'm more of a Cisco fan.
Oh, Cisco, fair enough. Deep Space Nine.
I'd open fire on those Klingons so fast they wouldn't know what to hit them. I'd be like, fire at will, full spread, quantum torpedoes, go.
Yeah.
The minute I saw the Klingons.
I think I'd be more like Kirk from Chris Pine. I think I'd be more like figuring things out the night before and then sitting there with the apple and swagger. I don't know how Mance would solve the Kobayashi Maru. I'd be very curious to see how he'd be able to do it. But yeah, what about this Cavill situation, man? What's your feeling? Do you think he's coming back?
No.
Yeah, right. The fact that he appeared, well, never mind. I don't want to see anything.
No. He's
right.
I think he's done. I mean, he didn't appear in Shazam.
Yes.
And it's so funny. I mean, I had heard rumors that he actually was there.
Yes.
I heard rumors that was actually him, and they just cropped him off because something happened or something.
They hadn't negotiated him.
Yeah.
Look, Gunn said it in the interview, right? He said we couldn't afford Superman or Wonder Woman, and then said that Batman and Cyborg, there's things in the works that are above my pay grade I can't talk about. So certainly 4 of the members of the Justice League, they're still figuring out what they're going to do next. And look, I know Wonder Woman 3 is supposed to happen, but that last film was so bad. And you wonder, well, if Patty doesn't get it right, and Patty and Gal don't get it right this time around, a recasting is not out of the realm of possibility.
Well, also, a recasting would be fine because at that point they've completed the Wonder Woman trilogy, so I'm fine.
That's
recast it and move on. I mean, it's the same thing. Like, if you think that, if anybody out there watching, if you don't think that they're not going to recast Tony Stark, then I have some beachfront property in Arizona to sell.
Yeah,
and I hope you buy it because it's great. It's right on the Atlantic Ocean, and it's outside Phoenix, Arizona, and you're gonna love it.
You'll love it.
And there's lots of grass. There's grass everywhere. Because that's all over Arizona, grass. But no, they're gonna do it. They're gonna recast Iron Man. They're gonna recast all these. But like, to me, it's like one of these things where I'm like, the biggest shame about Cavill, I don't think Cavill's coming back. I think he's done. I think he's gone. I think unless they offer him more money than God, which they might, the thing that's gonna bring Cavill back is time. Is if there is enough time that whoever is in charge has none of this animosity or any of the behind scenes stuff that we don't know about. And I don't care to know about either. And it just says, let's get him in here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I would have told you that we would have never seen Michael Keaton back as Batman. And here we are. So I would say never again, like Sean Connery. But, you know, who knows, man? I mean, I don't know.
Good.
No, I was going to say, I don't think we're going to see Cavill anytime soon as Superman. Okay. I have a feeling we're going to see another person as Superman before we see Henry Cavill as Superman.
And clearly there's an audience for it because people are loving Tyler Hoechlin as Superman in Superman and Lois.
Superman and Lois is a great show, man.
Yeah, a lot of great show. A lot of people loving it. Let's see. Philip back again. Philip Bryan says, did you watch Poldark? Dude has a Wolverine vibe. Yeah, he's talking about Aidan Turner, one of the dwarves from the Hobbit films and also other things. But yeah, the guy has a nice vibe. I like him. I don't think he's a Doctor Who, but it could be interesting as a Wolverine. I've seen a lot of people talk about Scott Eastwood, which I was really out on until I saw him recently in I Want You Back, which is a great film, by the way, that's on Amazon Prime. I was completely turned around on him after that movie. I thought he was a bit of a lunkhead of an actor, but no, he has some nice moments in that movie that I think, well, maybe you could explore the possibility. We talk about recastings. What do you think for Wolverine? Do you think that's going to happen at some point?
Oh, yeah, I think 100%. I just hope I would hope the MCU, I hope we get a Wolverine movie, or excuse me, I hope we get an X-Men movie without Wolverine at least once.
Ooh, yeah.
You know, like the X-Men movies are not Wolverine, but modern X-Men movies kind of think that Wolverine is the only X-Men that exists, and he's got to be in every single movie.
That's true.
It's like the reason why I think, I think Robert Downey Jr. now tied him, but like for a long time, Hugh Jackman held the record as the most appearances as a superhero.
That's a great point.
So I would like to see an X-Men movie. I really want an X-Men movie with the original crew, like the first class, because we've not gotten that yet.
Yeah.
And you know, let's not have Wolverine in every X-Men movie.
Or them trying to recruit Wolverine.
Yeah. I would really like them to cast an unknown because Hugh Jackman was a Broadway star before he had Wolverine. So I would, again, I'm a big fan of, like, I know it's very easy to like throw out Scott Eastwood or people we know, but I'm like, they have careers. How about we give a shot to somebody who could like really use this?
Yeah, someone can come in and absolutely knock people's socks off. Why not? I mean, it's not like Doug Ray Scott was a fucking well-known name. No, he was the original cast.
He was the original casting. Yeah.
So, Chris Taylor in here saying, Jason, loved your Arrow reviews. Will we ever see a Green Arrow movie, and especially one where he doesn't have what isn't dressed up as the back half of a brony. Do we see that happening? Do you
Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll see a Green Arrow movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah. I mean, at this point, I think we're gonna see a superhero movie for basically anybody that's been a Justice League member and anybody that's been an Avenger.
Oh yeah.
I think at this point it's gonna get a movie at some point. Fun fact. There was that David Goyer movie for a long time before the Arrow show that's called Supermax. It's called Green Arrow Supermax.
Oh yeah. Right.
I read that script. It was great. It was really good. It was really good. I kind of wish they had made it. That movie would have came out in like 2006.
Yeah.
But I think they should have made it.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, let's see here. Justin says, "Hi guys, Jason, how do you feel about the current Star Trek shows? I feel like the writing has been lacking, especially on Discovery, and seemed like too many spinoffs as well. Welcome back to Outlaw Nation." Jason, what can you say about this, Jason? Can you say anything here?
I like Star Trek Lower Decks, and I like Star Trek Prodigy.
I don't why Lower Decks. I tried, Jason. I can't.
What bumps you on Lower Decks?
I don't like poop jokes in my Star Trek. I just don't like that kind of stuff in my Star Trek.
You know there are poop jokes in Star Trek, right?
What?
There are poop jokes in Star Trek. In old Star Trek, there are poop jokes, my friend. Like there's a poop joke in TNG. There's a poop joke in Deep Space Nine. There's a poop joke in Voyager. There's a poop joke in Enterprise. It's literally in every. I mean, TOS might be the only one that doesn't have a poop joke.
No,
but there is a poop joke in a Star Trek TOS movie.
Yeah. All right.
So like poop jokes are not unheard of in the Star Trek universe. Now they might be doing them too much. I don't know. I can't tell you. But no, I like it, man, because like that is the show. Star Trek was the franchise that needed to poke fun at itself, because the reason it went away in the early 2000s was because it got too serious and up its own ass. So the fact that they greenlit a Trek show that like pokes fun at itself, like, and that's all Lower Decks does. Like Lower Decks, it's so funny because, like I made, and you were on it, the Red Shirt Diaries.
Yes, I loved it.
It's the same. Lower Decks is the same style.
Yeah.
By the way, fun fact, everybody, John Rocha, because the finale of the Red Shirt Diaries, go Google it. It's on youtube.com/Johnwin. Our Scotty was unavailable. And I called John Rocha up and I'm like, I need somebody to do a really good voiceover of Scotty. I know you're a voice actor. Can you do a Scottish dialect? And he did it. So the Scotty in the final episode of Red Shirt Diaries is Mr. John Rocha, and he kills it. He does an excellent job. And, it's, that's why I like Lower Decks, and I like Prodigy because
I haven't seen Prodigy. Is it good? You recommend it? Okay.
It's good. You have to realize it's made for 8 to 12-year-olds. Right, it's made for a person, for a kid that has no clue what this universe is.
Right. Oh, okay.
So there is an episode that literally the entire episode is explaining transporters.
Okay.
And the adventure is using the transporter to do a thing.
Right.
I saw a lot of Trek fans online being like, "Oh, I hate this." And you're just like, "But they're making it for the 8-year-old that doesn't know what a freaking transporter is, you dumb." And I thought they actually did it pretty well. I enjoyed it as a person who knows what transporters are. They do a really good job. They do. Yeah. I think they do a really job. I mean, it's funny. I kind of think of the newer Treks, the animated shows are the ones that are knocking out of the park.
Yeah, fair enough.
And you got to expand that audience. It's expand or die.
Yeah.
You can't we can't just keep making like Star Trek Picard and Star Trek Chief O'Brien and Star Trek Sisko and Star Trek Tom Paris, because our audience is just going to shrink, and then there's not going to be Star Trek anymore.
Yeah, because it's one of those franchises that people don't necessarily go back and watch the original trilogy. Original series. Mm-hmm. People go back and they rewatch the original trilogy in Star Wars.
Yeah,
but they don't really the fandom. Once you become a Star Trek fan, you don't find yourself going back to see Shatner and all of them. Some people do, but it's not at the level that people go back and watch the original trilogy.
No, the biggest part of the fandom is that old school. It is the TOSers and the TNGers. Sure. I mean, that's the reason why all the merchandise is TOS and TNG. But those people gonna die one day.
Yeah,
I hate to tell you, we're all gonna die, and we're all not gonna be able to watch Star Trek. And then when that happens, who is watching Star Trek? It's going to be the people that watch Lower Decks and Prodigy.
That's a fair point.
It's the same thing, dude. The same thing happened. Like, we live in a period now, and I was alive for this, and you were too.
Yeah.
Where the prequels came out, and we were all like, "What is that?" The Star Wars prequels. And oh, by the way, even though plenty of franchises have done prequels, isn't it interesting that I can say the prequels and you know exactly what I'm talking about?
Of course, yeah, of course.
You know I'm talking about Star Wars.
Of course, yeah.
So it's one of these things where there are fans now.
Yeah.
There are Star Wars fans that are like, Jar Jar Binks, not so bad.
Yeah. A lot of people. I mean, surely. And that's because, and trust me, we're going to go through the same thing.
Yep.
When these kids who grew up on Star Wars watching the sequel
start
trilogy,
making it.
Start becoming 19, 20 years old. They're going to be loud voices in the room saying, don't you bash my Star Wars. I love the sequel trilogy. You know, blah, blah, blah. And then people have to reevaluate the sequel trilogy.
We might get, because of that. I'm not kidding you. We might actually have a Star Wars Jar Jar Binks. I know that's like people are like, that'll never happen. I'm like, what? I bet you there's a chance. Oh yeah.
Series? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. No, it might be animated.
Yeah, right.
I'm putting money on it right here. Jar Jar Binks is gonna show up somewhere. He will happen. There are enough fans of that character out there.
Yeah, Sith Lord Binks. I'm all about it.
Yep.
Let's see. We got some Streamlabs that have come through. Let's rock through these.
Please
send in your Streamlabs, ladies and gentlemen. We're running out of time in the show. Send them in now to show your support for Jason, who's been very kind to come and hang out with us for a couple of hours. Send in some love. Send in support. Send in your questions, thoughts, and comments through Streamlabs and Super Chats. Philly G says, "What's up, Outlaw? It's good to see Inman. Didn't The Rock already do the football coach resurrecting a team thing?" He did. It was called The Gridiron Gang.
You can never have too many of those movies, I think.
It's so fucking true, especially with The Rock. Let's see. Matthew Hannon says, "Here you go," because Jason Inman is such a great guest. I agree.
Thank you.
Fantastic tonight. Sean,
I've been having a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Jason. Yeah, it's always great to have you, man. I appreciate you.
Didn't think Star Wars Jar Jar Binks going to come up. I'm telling you, he's going to show up. He's going to show up. Even if he only shows up so that Boba Fett can shoot him, he will show up.
He might show up would he show up in Kenobi? He could show up in Kenobi, right? Or am I wrong?
Well,
is Gungan? How long is the lifespan of a Gungan?
Well, isn't there like I don't read everything. This is like one of those where I feel like we got to call Ken Knopsack on the phone and be like, hey, but doesn't he appear in like a tie-in novel that's set after the original trilogy?
I think he does. Yeah.
I'm telling you, Kenobi.
I like Kenobi.
Kenobi knows Jar Jar Binks. He could show up.
Kenobi. Oh yeah, I'm a Jedi, all right. Oh,
I also tell you because like I keep saying that too because like I know the attitude that I have as well. Like, and I don't love Jar Jar Binks, but I'm telling you, I guarantee you, there is a writer, a producer, a creative out there that is like, you know what? I'm going to take on the challenge, and I'm going to make you motherfuckers love Jar Jar Binks. Yeah. I'm going to kill him on screen, and you all are going to be crying.
I'll be honest with you. After Peacemaker, I think James Gunn could convince me that I would love a Jar Jar Binks.
That's the whole reason why Peacemaker happened, dude, is because James Gunn was like, you know what? This character who has a Nazi for a father, by the way, that's from the comic books.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, it is. Who's a Nazi for a father is the most despicable character of all time. He's problematic. I'm going to make you love him.
Yeah.
That's exactly why he picked that character.
Yeah. Yeah. I like this from Tushka.
So
James Gungan.
James Gungan, man. I'm telling you. Gungan, a Star Wars story.
Let's see. We got 150 likes. Thank you all so much. And let me hit a couple more of these from Streamlabs. Sean Barreto. Thank you, Sean. He says, I want to know Jason's thoughts about the new Superman and Batman animated series coming to HBO Max. Yeah, what's your thoughts on that, Jason? A lot of people feel.
Is there a new Superman one?
Yeah, I think the rumors are they're working on a new Superman one, but there is a new Batman one coming. Do you think this is like scary times because people like revere that animated series? Or are you excited to see what they can do now with them?
I'm excited because there have been good Batman series since then.
Yes,
Batman Brave and the Bold.
Brave and Bold
is one of the best cartoons that's ever been made. And if I tell anybody that they let the goofiness keep them out of it, I'm also going to say this: Teen Titans Go is fantastic.
Oh yeah. I
I see lots of fans. It's so funny when I first met Ashley Victoria Robinson. She's very Teen Titans is like her thing, Robin's her thing, and she was like, "Oh, I hate Teen Titans Go." And I turned to her and I said, "There are little kids dressing up as Beast Boy, Raven, and Cyborg at comic conventions. These D-list DC characters because of Teen Titans Go."
It's true.
Also, Teen Titans Go has this recurring gag where, kind of like Anchorman, where Robin Dick Grayson pulls out like a conch or a conch or whatever you say, and he like plays like a and all the Robins show, and they've done it in multiple episodes, and it makes me laugh every single time because it's like Jason Todd and Carrie Kelly and Tim Drake, and then it's Burt Ward Robin, all are the Robins that show up, and they're all like, "We're here, Robin," and he's like, "Good Robins," and he like tells it's a hilarious running gag they keep doing.
Wow, there's got to be a montage of all those scenes somewhere on YouTube for sure.
But anyways, I can't remember the question. I'm sorry, but
the Batman animated series, yeah.
Oh, I'm excited for it. Is the Superman one? Is that the Jimmy Olsen one that I've heard
yes,
about?
My Adventures with Superman. Yes,
exciting. I'm happy for it. It's good. Give me more.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Philly G says, speaking of Boba Fett, they definitely should have introduced Cad Bane earlier, and Ahsoka Tano served no solid narrative purpose in the episode she appeared in. Would have loved to see her and Luke actually share a real conversation.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, there was so much. I mean, your dad, Anakin, this is a huge thing. Maybe they're saving it for Kenobi. Who knows? But yeah, and a lot of people I saw were like, why would she be okay with Grogu being trained as a Jedi when she walked away from the Jedi Council? Why is she all of a sudden cool with Grogu being trained to become a Jedi, possibly with Luke? So I mean, I kind of want to push back on that and say, well, you change. When you're young, you can make your principal stands, but as you get older, you experience things and you understand that there's more levels to this than you anticipated earlier. But that being said, I can't deny the criticism. You know,
it's fair. Again, we're on that line of if you've only watched Boba Fett,
yeah,
or you've only watched Mandalorian, like I still feel like you don't know anything about Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, because I know the history and you know the history,
yeah.
I was sitting there thinking, boy, it would have been nice to see Ahsoka's first meeting with Luke, because I think that would have been an interesting scene.
Yes.
Because I think Luke would have a million questions.
Oh yeah.
And so would she. I think she would have a million questions about like, oh, so you're Padme's son?
Right.
I knew Padme.
Yeah.
You know.
Tell me about my mom.
Yeah, I can't believe he hid you from me. I was his Padawan. I don't know. I agree with you. It served no purpose besides like, hey, reminder, Star Wars Ahsoka is coming next year, right after Star Wars Binks.
Star Wars :
I'm throwing that series down just out there so that the hopes that Disney Plus is watching this, and Kathleen Kennedy is just like, this Jason Inman kid. All right, here you go, Kathleen. You ready? Okay. Star Wars Binks. It's Yojimbo, but on Naboo and underwater. My phone is open anytime.
Yeah, I like it. Let's give him some love. There it is.
Just throwing it out there. I don't know. It's just off the top of the dome. There's probably a better pitch.
I love it. That's just great. That's how creativity works. That's how brilliant Jason is, just right off his head. John Ashford says, evening. Do you think Marvel/DC will dig into their Golden Age characters? Imagine a Fury-like tank movie with the Howling Commandos or Guns of Navarone with superheroes. Jason, what do you think?
Well, they kind of are with Black Adam.
Yes, with Justice Society. Yes.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, hasn't there been a Blackhawks with Steven Spielberg like hinted at for a long? That's probably never going to happen.
It was announced, not hinted at. It was announced.
That's right. Yeah. It was announced.
It's never going to happen.
You know, yes, if the right pitch comes along, but I will tell you, it becomes harder and harder when you get out of the superhero realm.
Mm-hmm.
Because fun fact, people probably don't know this. Did you know History of Violence is a DC comic book?
I did know, because I do the top 10. And so those are the things that we have to look at. But no, I bet almost a majority of the people would not know this from a comic book. Or Road to Perdition, which is from a comic.
Road to Perdition is also a DC comic book as well. Yeah. You know, it becomes harder and harder because it makes it less and less identifiable as DC. And I kind of think that the executives right now, that's all they care about is if I look at this, I would love to see a Howling Commandos movie. DC comic book, war comic, Sergeant Rock. I would love to see Sergeant Rock. It was funny. Sergeant Rock was the character that I always pitched when I worked at DC. I was always be like, guys, I got a Sergeant Rock story. Let's go. And they're always like, sure you do, kid. Or no, basically it was like nobody's gonna buy a Sergeant Rock story, basically, which is true.
I don't know if you make it Red State, I think people would buy, but that's just me. Yeah.
I mean, I'm certain people have pitched it. Yeah. At this point, I kind of think everybody's there's probably a pitch for every DC and Marvel character that has been thrown at them, and they're being very selective.
Yeah.
So
yeah, all right, fair enough. Yeah, I think it's possible, and I would love to have seen the Howling Commandos movie because I feel like they got short shrift in First Avenger, and we've even in the Captain Britain What If, we didn't really get that much with them as well. So I think that's one of the biggest mistakes from the early parts of Marvel is for them to really brush past Howling Commandos, because you could absolutely do a long-running series on the Howling Commandos and their experience, kind of like Band of Brothers. Make it like that on HBO Max and focus with those characters. Now,
it's what the Agent Carter series should have been. It should have been her with the Howling Commandos in World War II. Because the war wasn't over just because Captain America crashed into the ocean.
Right. There was a lot more.
Like, there were still more battles.
All right, Ronan Unchained said, John and Jason, if you could adapt a comic/character from both Marvel and DC into a show/movie, which would you choose? Me, The Question for HBO Max, and Daughters of the Dragon on Disney Plus. Also, go read Angel City from Omni Press. Amazing series.
DC, it's Camelot 3000.
Oh my God, yes.
I could write the hell. I think it would make a great movie, but I think it'd probably be better on HBO Max. Yes. Camelot 3000.
Yep.
For Marvel's harder.
Okay.
Because the show I've wanted to write a War Machine movie for a long time.
Ooh, right.
But because I think it's the perfect disabled veteran story. But they're just doing Armor Wars. And also give Don Cheadle a movie, for God's sake. Oscar nominee Don Frank Cheadle Jr. from Kansas City's favorite son. I say this in Geekish Listen all the time. But since Kansas City is the closest airport to where I grew up, I feel like I want to claim Don Frank Cheadle Jr.
Please.
That is his real full name, by the way.
Okay.
Big fan of him. But since I can't say that, since they're making the show, man, another Marvel's hard, man. Just because I feel like they've done more. There's not as much. You can't really go outside.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to write the Fantastic Four movie, but I know they're working on that one.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Rumors
he's going to show up as one of the Illuminati.
Or Ian Gruffold might be in that.
Oh God, no!
I hope so. Why not?
Because those are terrible movies. That's why not. Come on.
Look, Ian Gruffold was a bad read because he was too young. Now I think he might be perfect.
You know what? You make an excellent point, actually.
Because if you ever saw that show that he had that CBS show where he couldn't die.
Yes, right.
And that's a good show. It didn't last too long, but and he was good on it.
Yeah, I saw him in that second season of Liar with
I didn't see that.
Anna Bates from Downton Abbey, where he's pursuing her, and it is incredible how good he is in that film, the show. So yeah, I could see that. I actually could see
I don't know. Marvel, man, I still haven't given you a good answer for Marvel.
Okay. Well, think of here. Let me go into mine as you think about it. Spectre is my number one choice. I mean, I don't know how we haven't done the Spectre show yet for DC. You took The Question. I would say The Question because I loved that run in the 90s. I collected all those. The Question and The Shadow were my two favorite kind of below the line.
How is there not a modern Shadow movie right now?
Yeah.
It seems crazy to me.
I saw, oh God, what's his name? Elias Troxfex. I can't say his last name. He was pitching doing a modern day Shadow film, or sorry, series. And he was looking at it, and I was like, yes, it's time.
That'd be really good.
It's so really good. Yeah, The Question was fantastic. Remember, I still have those questions, David Ostrander, all that kind of stuff. But Spectre is the one that I think, because there's so much you can play around with. And if you get to a third or fourth season, you can rope in Hal Jordan into, because he became the Spectre. You can have a whole season where Hal Jordan is the Spectre. It would be awesome to explore that. So yeah, that's my number one choice.
Well, I'll throw out mine. Thunderbolts.
Oh, nice.
But I think they're going to do Thunderbolts too. So.
Yeah. With Ross coming. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, with So those are some good ones, absolutely, for sure. Let's see here. We've got any more? Fred Tastic says, I would love a limited series about Isaiah Bradley in his time battling the Winter Soldier. Thanks for doing this. Yeah, that'd be interesting, Jason.
I don't know. I will say this. Yeah. I don't know if there's enough there to carry an entire series.
Okay.
What I would have liked to have seen, is I wish, it's funny because like the interesting thing about the Disney Plus Marvel shows is I don't think they've realized yet to lean into the power of a streaming show. Netflix has got it down, right?
Yeah.
Think about all the streaming shows we've seen, and there was like an episode about halfway during the season that's a flashback.
Yeah.
Doesn't have any of the main characters, or maybe has them in the opening scene, the end scene. That's what I think they should have done with Isaiah Bradley. I think we should have like when Sam went and saw him, he's like, oh man, you're the first Captain America. And then like the very next episode is like, let me tell you the story, son. We flash back to World War II. Sebastian Stan gets to still play the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Maybe we recast Daveed Diggs from Hamilton as young Isaiah, and we get to see Black Captain America. But like, because it's based, Truth, Red, White, and Black is a hard story to read. It's a story that I think everybody should watch, or read. But to basically see the Tuskegee experiments for 6 episodes, I think would be a rough watch.
Yes, agreed.
But for an episode, I think we could do it.
Yeah, you can consolidate that into one episode. Sure, why not?
But also Disney Plus, again, like talked about this, that's rated R material.
Yeah.
And Disney Plus likes to keep it clean and,
Yeah, I think that's what's a little frustrating as I watch the Marvel shows is that I know they're good, and most of them are good, actually. And they bring up these concepts, and some of them are social justice concepts, but they don't go all the way. They don't really dive in deep on these concepts. They surface approach them. They kind of I don't know. They kind of neuter them.
They avoid them. Neuter them is a great. They avoid them quite a bit.
Yeah.
Because I think they're afraid of what people are going to say on Twitter, and instead, what they look. I didn't even watch Hawkeye, but I know the Kingpin shows up because that's all Twitter talked about.
Right. And depending on how you felt about it, did you like that the Kingpin showed up? I want to throw one thing out at you real quick, and I'm gonna share the screen because this popped up and I almost lost my fucking mind. The idea that James Gunn's Justice League with J.M. DeMatteis's approach to the Justice League, which I fucking have right here, always in hardback. These are my favorite versions of the Justice League. I have
the omnibus of that run.
Huh?
I have the omnibus of that run. Yeah, that would be a great choice.
Right?
Yeah.
Damn it. Make it happen. I want to see it.
He's one of the few people that I think could actually pull off Guy Gardner.
Yes. And make him sympathetic.
Seeing what he did to Peacemaker, he would be like one of the few people. And that's the problem with Guy Gardner is because like if you do Guy Gardner wrong, he's just pure asshole. Yeah, right. Exactly. But if you do him right, he comes off as a great character. That's what I wonder how they're going to handle him in that Green Lantern Corps show coming up where he is in the Green Lantern Corps. Is that show ever going to happen? According to what my sources, and one of them was working on the production, is telling me that it is very far along. So we shall see. One last one here before we wrap up and let Jason go. He's already given us 2 hours of his time, which we appreciate madly. Adam Grunther said, are there any Marvel characters that are too inappropriate / extreme to appear in the MCU that you think could work? So, characters that are inappropriate that we do think would work? Yeah, that you think would work. Maybe outside the MCU or something. Is that what they're trying to say? Oh, interesting. I mean, I mean, my gut says Wolverine. Like full Wolverine, the real Wolverine. Yeah, like I mean, how do you? I mean, that's gonna be that's one of the characters that I'm gonna be like, how are you gonna put this in the MCU and make it work? This is a guy that stabs people. Yeah, it's the same with Blade. The guy has a sword and he chops vampires in half. Like, how are you gonna make this work in the MCU? Yeah. Cable's another one of these characters. The Punisher's one of these characters. Well, Punisher is my number one choice. Yeah, I don't know if the Punisher works in this universe. Also, I don't think in the modern context that we should even have the Punisher in the modern MCU anymore. Right. I think he might be a character that we should put to bed and say goodbye to. Is it because of the logo or is it because of his origins? It's all of it, man. Okay. Like he is. I mean, and I say this as a person who I mean, I wrote a chapter about it in my book,
Yes.
Super Soldiers.
Yes,
It's all about the Punisher. The Punisher is a character that's glorifying trauma.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's a character that can't handle his trauma. So the way he decides to handle his trauma is by killing people, by creating more trauma.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know if that's really an example we want to put out into the world. Because every Punisher story ends with every Punisher story is this, and there are great Punisher books out there, but every Punisher story is this. Frank can't handle that his family was murdered. So he's found a new criminal / mobster / corrupt cop / asshole that he's gonna kill. And along the journey, he meets a character that is an outsider character, whether this is a young girl, whether this is Micro, whether this is
Micro,
the girl Punisher that they introduced in the Greg Rucka run, who comes along and at first thinks that Frank's journey is a good idea.
Right.
But then about halfway through is like, Frank, violence isn't the way. You should probably quit, and we should probably go talk to a therapist, and like, hey, let's just run away with me. Let's go do this. And you think Frank's going to go with them for a while, but he always, every Punisher story, he's like, no, I got to kill this person. And then he abandons, dumps, or leaves that person behind, and then ends up killing the person at the end of the anyway. And then the last panel is always Frank Castle being like, this person thought they could change me, but they can't. Bang. And you're just like, what did we learn from this story? That this guy needs a therapist? We knew that at the beginning. That this guy needs to go talk to a VA counselor? We knew that at the beginning. We learned nothing from this story. It's the only thing of like, here's I loved the Punisher season 1.
Oh yeah.
Netflix show. And John, do you want to know the reason why I love this? And you might appreciate this as a veteran. You might have even had the same feeling. I loved it because the final scene of season 1 was him going to the VA group and sitting down and telling his story. And I was like, oh my God, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah. This is chef's kiss. Yeah. Perfection. He's admitting his fault. He's admitting that revenge is not the way to do this. Right. It's all this stuff. You're like, this is what, because if you don't tell a theme or a lesson with your story, then why are you telling your story?
Yeah.
There's no point.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then they released season 2. And I was like, what are you doing?
Season 2 is such a crap hole in comparison. I mean, to me, season 1 of The Punisher is the greatest season of all the Netflix shows.
Agreed. Right. I agree 100% with it. It is the best season of all of them.
Agreed. Yep. And there's not a wasted episode. There's not a filler episode. There's not an episode where you feel like, oh, why are we doing this? It challenges you on so many levels. And the way they get to Jigsaw makes all kinds of sense. And the detective who's pursuing him the whole time, she's great. Yep. Everything, the stuff with Micro, everything is great in season 1. And Jason's absolutely right. The way it ends, you get a beginning, which is all trauma and all this madness and him navigating, which is some of the most incredible acting work John Bernthal may ever do.
And it's still a Punisher story. It's still as violent as a Punisher story and all that stuff. Yeah.
What is it? The second to last episode is just caked in blood. Mm-hmm. And you get to that ending where finally he sits down and he's going to tell. So he's learned the lesson. He's explored all the possibilities of violence.
And that's the problem with comic book Punisher is because comic books are constant second acts.
Right.
We're never going to see people write the last Batman story, they write the last Superman story, but in actual like mainstream continuity, we're never going to see the final story because they've got to sell more comic books.
Right.
And again, with Punisher just being on this endless quest, you're just like, this doesn't work. And you're literally telling your audience like, bloody revenge quests are great. And you're like, that is the absolute wrong lesson and message as a major corporation who is based around kids and magic and fun.
It's true.
To tell. And that's what, we should just like, again, if you want to read a great Punisher book, there are plenty of them. Go out there, go buy them. But in terms of, we need to park that character back in the 1970s and say goodbye. to that character. It would be like DC comic books being like, because they own this. I think DC owns this. Warner Bros. Owns Scarface. Am I right about that?
Yes. Yeah. Warner Bros. Does.
It would be like DC Comics being like, all right, guys, here's the Scarface comic book. And then they publish the Scarface comic book for 30 years. And you'd be like, what are you telling your audience? That we should smoke cocaine and shoot people in Miami? What are we doing here?
Issue number 30.
Yeah, right.
It's a great point you bring up, Jason. That's fantastic. That's a great place to end the show. Thank you, Jason, so much for joining us. And thanks for all the stuff, all your opinions, your points of views, your knowledge. I mean, 2 hours flew by, brother. It's always great to see you. I don't see you enough and we don't talk enough, but it's a joy when we get a chance to do so, man. So I really appreciate you taking the time. And ladies and gentlemen, Super Best Friend, the Kickstarter is out there. The address is in the description of this video. And Jason, please tell people where they can find you and everything that's going on, my man.
Well, John, it's always a pleasure talking with you, man. Thanks for having me, man. And this is fun. And I appreciate as well, like that your audience and you are all happy to have me scream, you know, because I was screaming about the Punisher there. So I appreciate it. I have a lot of fun. And Super Best Friend, superbestfriendcomic.com. It's going till March 3rd. If you don't have the moolah to support, I always say that a share or a retweet is just as helpful as financially backing the book. But I guarantee you it's 44 pages of great superhero comic books. And if you've enjoyed anything I say here, then I think you're going to enjoy the comic book. And then other than that, you can find me on my weekly podcast that I do with Ashley Victoria Robinson called Geek History Lesson. It's everywhere that you hear podcasts. We basically teach you about a character in a little bit less than an hour. We got a Moon Knight episode coming up. We got a Penguin episode coming up for the Batman movie.
Nice.
John has been on the show as Wolverine. That is part of the thing. And I think you've been on a regular episode too. I think we had.
Yeah, I think once. Yeah, that's right. I'd love to come on again whenever the possibility opens up. Yeah.
But so if come over and hear us talking about that stuff over there. That's the best place to find me.
I mean, in 1 hour, you can learn so much about a character through the prism or through the eyes of Jason and Ashley. So it's
where I learned. Ashley taught the Peacemaker lesson that we did a couple months ago, right when Peacemaker premiered. I didn't know anything about Peacemaker, and that's where I learned that he had a Nazi dad. And so when I saw the show, I was like, "Oh, hey, there's the Nazi dad." You know.
He made it work. Yeah, absolutely. There you go. It's it's a place to go for sure. All right, let's let Jason go so you can roll on and I'll say my goodbye. So I'll let Jason go. Jason, thanks again, brother, man. Much love to you. Thanks to everybody for your Streamlabs and Super Chats, asking Jason all the questions. And I hope you enjoyed all the answers we gave you. And you follow him everywhere on social media and support everything he's got going on. Once again, including that Kickstarter that's down there in the description of this video. Go and click on it and help.
Well, thank you, John. And thanks to all the Outlaws. Have a lovely night, dude.
Respect. You too, brother. Give my best to Ashley.
We'll
see you.
We'll do.
All right. There's Jason Inman, ladies and gentlemen, hanging out with us tonight. Such a fun night. I hope you all enjoyed it because I know I did. I had a blast hanging out with Jason. Let me nobody needs to see that close. Let's go backwards. There we go. All right. Thanks to Jason for taking the time to hang out with. Thanks to all of you for hanging out with me as well. Please remember to hit a like on this video and leave a comment down below if you're watching a little bit later. Likes and comments are how you elevate the visibility of the show and get people on board with the show. And come and subscribe to the channel. And speaking of subscribe to the channel, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, do that now down below. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell button if you've been enjoying this conversation with me and Jason, because there's a bunch of content on here that I think you're going to enjoy as well. We're close to crossing 21,100 subscribers here as I'm talking. So please go and subscribe down below and keep pushing the Outlaw Nation boulder up the hill as we try to get to more and more subscribers and get to those milestones quicker. 25,000, 30,000, 50,000 subscribers. And God, may I dream of 100,000 subscribers. Who knows? But yeah, please come and follow me and do all that down there and share it on your social media as well. Please share this video on your social media. It's really important. So you let people know the Outlaw Nation is a cool place to come and enjoy content. If you want to follow me on Twitch, the Outlaw Nation, all one word there on Twitch. Would appreciate you all following me there. Got a lot of watch alongs, play alongs. All those things are happening there on Twitch, especially the John and Wendy show every Friday live at 3 p.m. PT on Twitch, talking about the week's big news and entertainment and fun stuff like K-Pop Corner and occasional gossip stuff that we love to talk about that I don't talk about on any of my other shows. Don't forget, Geek Buddies is coming up this week. We just did our Peacemaker finale review. If you want to watch it, it's up now as well. And we've got new Jedi Way coming, I think, sometime this week. And definitely Strong Style and maybe another episode coming up soon of the Outlaw Nation show, other than this episode. If I can lock down a guest for later on this week, because I'm looking at trying to do a show this week, I will do so and let you all know. And I'm having some initial conversations for some new shows that might be coming to the channel that I think you all will absolutely love and enjoy. Still some moving pieces, still early on in the conversations, but if these come through and I get to announce them, I think you all will absolutely be over the moon at how we're expanding the Outlaw Nation and its reach for sure. So come aboard for that as well. Follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram and on TikTok, as well as I mess around on TikTok, the old man on TikTok, hanging out, and look for some reviews later on this week from the channel as well. All right, well, let me end the show like I end every show, and I'm looking at you right now in your eye, and I'm going to say this to you, and I want you to listen to me. Whatever, I know a lot of things have been happening in the world. There's been some tough situations going on in people's lives. We've seen some people who we know from famous walks of life who have recently taken their own lives. And it's been heartbreaking to see that. We're just out of that Christmas season, but still beginning the new year. Those feelings can linger. They can hang around, and I get them. Emma Fife, one of the friends of the Geek Buddies, friends of mine, posted about anxiety coming to get her the other day. I had my own panic attack a couple of weeks ago that lasted for 3 hours. It was rough. These things happen, and it can happen out of the blue. You never know what triggers it, but you're in that place. And so for any of you who are in that place or kind of climbing out of that place, I just want to say something to you. As I've said before, when I end every show, whatever you need to do to get through the next second, next minute, next hour, next day, next week, next month, next year, I want you to do that. I want you to find your way through it. Sometimes it's breathing. Sometimes it's listening to something that makes you happy or watching something that makes you happy. Sometimes it's taking a hike, taking a walk outside, calling a friend, maybe just sitting with your own thoughts and meditating. There's so many great guided meditations on YouTube or on wherever you download podcasts that can get you through your day. And that feeling does subside. So you've got to work to get through those feelings so they subside and you can move on. And that takes a little bit of effort from you. And I hope you find a way to do that. Even if it's a little baby step, like a little pinky toe forward, that's important. That's progress and it matters, So I just want to send that out to you. And I know for those of you, some of you may be watching who have been a part or experienced the stuff that's been happening recently within our community. I send this message especially to all of you, know that I'm thinking about you, know that you're in my thoughts, know that this too shall pass, and know that there's a lot of people who support you all. There's a lot of people who believe you all and believe in you all. And so I just want to let you know that as well. All right. From me, from the Outlaw. All right. Much love to you all. Thanks to Sean Baritone for helping us produce the show here. Thanks to everybody who hung out with us tonight. I love you madly. And I'll talk to you. Oh, and don't forget the Patreon. Jesus, how can I forget the Patreon? I'm plugging everything else except the Patreon. Come and be a part of the Patreon. Patreon.com. Right above, there you go. Right above my head. Patreon.com/John Rocha. See all the multiple tiers you can be a part of. See all the things that you can enjoy here in our Patreon. We've got so much happening. Like the Outlaw Nation. Where am I at? There we go. Where am I at? There we go. Like the Outlaw Nation Movie Trivia League, like the hangouts that we do twice a week. There'll be watch-alongs that they do in the Discord. The Discord is always lively and hopping with a lot of conversations. A great crew of people. So come be a part of that. And if you want to support my ability to get bigger guests on the Outlaw Nation show, I have to pay for that. Maybe send in some support or join at a certain tier so you can make that happen. If you join at the $50 tier, you get a half an hour with me every month. If you join at the $100 tier, you get an hour with me every month. So those are the things that are part of the benefits that you get being a part of the Outlaw Nation Patreon. So just want to float that out there for you all. All right, that's it from me. Much love to you. Take care of yourselves. Be well. And I'll talk to you next time with another brand new live episode here of the Outlaw Nation Show. Hope you had a great President's Day and you have a great rest of your week. Peace.